Chapter 2, 61. Quenched Hand-Forged Rifle. Wu Di's gaze fell upon the system attribute panel that popped up before him. Quenched Hand-Forged Rifle. Purple quality. Bolt-action rifle. 7.62 millimeters caliber. Effective range 800 meters. 30-round magazine. The barrel is hand-quenched with finely polished rifling. Exceptional ballistic stability. Significantly reduced recoil, and a notable increase in muzzle velocity. Shots have a chance to trigger a forced armor-piercing effect, capable of penetrating homogeneous steel plates and dealing extra damage to armored targets and mechanical units. Compatible with various models of 7.62 millimeters ammunition. Extremely low failure rate. Performance will not degrade in harsh environments, such as dust or humidity. Looking at the information on the panel, an expression of surprise appeared on Wu Di's face. He never expected that this weapon, which looked unremarkable and even bore hand-welded marks on its body, would actually be of purple quality. Moreover, its power was far greater than what Xiaoxi had previously analyzed through the images. He casually picked up a short blade that had fallen nearby and tried to put it into his space. The system only gave it a common quality rating with no special bonuses. It was completely ordinary. He bent over and collected the remaining 3 rifles from the ground, as well as the ammunition belts from the 4 men, into his personal space. Without exception, they were all of the same purple quality. This was enough to show that this world possessed hand-forging capabilities that far exceeded his expectations. After collecting all the weapons, Wu Di walked over to the scavenger's vehicle. Up close, this car looked even rougher than it did on the center console screen. The steel plates of the body were clearly hand-welded, over 10 millimeters thick, with uneven welding marks left on the edges. The bull bar mounted on the front was covered in impact scratches of varying depths and bite marks from mechanical saw blades. He pulled open the door, jumped into the driver's seat, and began a careful inspection. The interior had long since been stripped bare, leaving only a modified dashboard and a mess of wiring. The accelerator and brakes had been reinforced. However, after looking it over several times, he eventually jumped down from the car, feeling somewhat disappointed. This intimidating-looking vehicle was essentially just an ordinary fuel-powered off-road vehicle. Aside from the heavy armor welded onto the shell, there was nothing special about it, let alone any high-tech equipment. Besides half a tank of low-quality fuel and a pile of useless scrap metal parts, there wasn't even a map to explain the regional situation, much less any valuable supplies. With a thought, Wu Di reached out his hand and attempted to activate the system's decomposition function. As I thought, it doesn't work, Wu Di muttered to himself. Just like the wreckage of the mechanical hounds before, items native to this world could not be decomposed by the system. He looked up and shouted toward the outside of the factory building. "Xiaoxi, drive the car into the factory." The RV slowly drove into the semi-collapsed factory and eventually came to a steady stop in the shadows of a corner, completely hidden from view. Meanwhile, Wu Di walked to the side of the scavenger's vehicle, grabbed the load-bearing crossbeams at the bottom of the chassis with both hands, and applied a slight amount of strength in his arms. Up! With a low grunt, this off-road vehicle, which weighed more than 3 tons, was actually lifted up by him with ease, as if he were holding an empty cardboard box. With steady steps, he carried the vehicle deep into the factory and casually placed it behind a thick load-bearing pillar, completely blocking it from all sightlines outside the factory. Su Wanwan, who had just finished tying the men up nearby, watched this scene dumbfounded. The remaining half-length of high-strength steel wire in her hand almost dropped to the ground. Although she had long known that Wu Di's strength far exceeded that of an ordinary person, seeing him lift a multi-ton off-road vehicle with his bare hands still shocked her deeply. She stood frozen in place for a long time, unable to snap out of it. After being stunned for several seconds, she suddenly reacted. She bent down, grabbed the back collars of 2 men in each hand, and dragged the 2 unconscious scavengers as she quickly followed him deep into the factory. Wu Di looked at Su Wanwan as she dragged the men in and pointed to the shadows at the corner of the factory. "Just put them in the corner." Su Wanwan nodded and nimbly dragged all 4 people to the corner, placing them side by side on the ground. She reached out and tugged at the steel wires tied around their hands and feet to confirm they weren't loose before turning to walk back to Wudi's side. "Big Brother Wudi, what do we do next?" Su Wanwan asked softly, her gaze sweeping over the 4 unconscious scavengers with a hint of vigilance and worry in her eyes. "Wait for them to wake up first, and see if we can learn about the real situation here through them." Wudi leaned against the load-bearing pillar, his gaze passing through the collapsed gap in the factory and falling on the gray sky outside. "Xiaoya is too young. The information she knows is limited. Furthermore, she's still guarded against us and might not have told the whole truth. These people certainly know more than Xiaoya does." Su Wanwan nodded understandingly and subconsciously gripped the rifle in her hand. "Then I'll stand guard here and wait for them to wake up." Wudi waved his hand, his tone relaxed. "Don't be too nervous. Even if they wake up, they're tied hand and foot. They won't be able to cause any trouble." He paused and added, "Go to the RV and get some food and water. While you're at it, let Lin Yu and the others know to stay inside with Xiaoya. Don't let them come out randomly. We can handle things here." Su Wanwan was taken aback for a moment, then realized Wudi's intention. She immediately responded and turned to walk quickly back to the RV. Wudi looked down at the system interface. The time displayed on the screen was 10:58 a.m. He sat down casually on the ground. Before long, Su Wanwan came out of the RV carrying compressed biscuits, 2 cans of meat, and several bottles of purified water. "Big Brother Wudi, I've informed them all," Su Wanwan said softly as she placed the items between them. "Lin Yu and the others are with Xiaoya in the domain space. They won't come out without reason." Wudi nodded, reached out to take a pack of compressed biscuits, and tore open the packaging. "Today's situation is special, so we'll just make do with this for now. We'll see after we've figured out the situation." Su Wanwan also sat down, picked up a bottle of purified water, unscrewed it, and took a small sip. The 2 of them leaned against the load-bearing pillar and simply finished their lunch in the empty factory. Time passed slowly. After about half an hour, the 4 scavengers tied in the corner let out groans one after another and slowly woke up. The first to wake was the scar-faced man leading them. He snapped his eyes open, his pupils constricting instantly. His first instinct was to reach for the gun at his waist, only to find his hands and feet were firmly bound, rendering him unable to move at all. He instantly tensed his muscles and jerked his head up. He immediately saw Wudi and Su Wanwan not far away, and intense hostility and anger instantly burst from his eyes. Chapter 262 calmed down. "What exactly do you want?" the scar-faced man shouted sternly, his voice as hoarse as if it had been ground against gravel, filled with intense rage. His shout also woke up the remaining 3 people. As soon as the short and stocky man woke up and saw the scene before him, his eyes instantly turned red, and he began to curse. "You son of a bitch remnant council scum. If you have the guts, let me go. I'll fight you one-on-one." The woman who had been protected behind them and the remaining young man also woke up. Both looked vigilantly toward Wudi, their bodies tense, struggling desperately with their hands and feet, trying to break free from their restraints. But the steel wire was extremely resilient. Even though their physique far exceeded that of ordinary humans, no matter how hard they struggled, the wire didn't budge, only tightening until their wrists turned red. "I'll say it again. We are not from the Remnant Council." Wudi sat where he was, still holding half a piece of uneaten dry ration, looking at the 4 of them, his tone calm and without a ripple. "I have no malice toward you, nor do I want to kill you. I just want to learn about the situation in this area from you. As long as you cooperate, we won't harm you in the slightest." "Learn about the situation?" The scar-faced man sneered, his face full of disdain and disbelief. "If you want to get information out of us, you've found the wrong people. Big Brother, don't waste your breath on them." The short and stocky man was still furious, spit practically flying. "These people are the same ilk as the Remnant Council scum. Even if we tell them, they'll definitely kill us in the end." Su Wanwan heard their foul language, instantly frowned, put down the water in her hand, and stood up. Just as she was about to say something, Wudi reached out and held her back. "Big Brother Wudi, continue eating. Don't worry about them." Wudi pulled her back down to sit. When they get tired of cursing, they will naturally stop. Hearing Wu Dai's words, Su Wanwan sat back down, but the look she directed at the four of them still held a hint of anger. The two of them finished their lunch quietly. During this half hour, the four people at the corner hadn't been quiet for a moment, especially the short and stocky man, who kept cursing incessantly, spewing all sorts of ugly words. Yet Wu Di remained calm throughout, without even a flicker of reaction. It wasn't until the two of them finished cleaning up that Wu Di stood up and walked slowly toward the corner. Seeing him approach, the four of them instantly stopped cursing, tensed their bodies, and watched him with eyes full of vigilance. Wu Di didn't speak, he just crouched down and pinched the high-strength steel wire tied around Ironstone's wrist with his fingers. With a crisp snap, the steel wire, which the four of them couldn't break no matter how hard they tried, was snapped by him with a casual pull. Immediately after, there were a few more crisp snaps, and all the steel wires tied to the four people's hands and feet were easily snapped by him and tossed onto the ground. The short and stocky man reacted the fastest. As soon as the wire broke, he immediately lunged toward the short knife that had fallen on the ground not far away, intending to pick it up and counterattack. But just as he took a step forward, he felt an invisible, tangible pressure instantly lock onto him. Wu Di's gaze fell faintly upon him. Despite making no movement, it made his whole body stiffen, his blood feeling as if it had frozen, and he dared not take another step forward. If I wanted to kill you, you would have already died when you passed out earlier. You wouldn't have lived long enough to wake up. Wu Di spoke slowly, his voice not loud, but carrying an unquestionable sense of oppression. I released your restraints because I want to communicate with you as equals, not to give you a chance to attack. If you want to fight, I don't mind knocking you out again. The scar-faced man immediately stepped forward and reached out to pull back the short and stocky man, who still wanted to act out, staring fixedly at Wu Di, his eyes full of vigilance and a hint of unconcealable shock. He could clearly feel that the strength of the man before him had reached a level they simply couldn't comprehend. If the other party really wanted to fight, the four of them combined wouldn't be able to last even a second. Just as the atmosphere in the factory fell into a stalemate, a dense, roaring sound like grinding gears suddenly came from outside the factory, along with the harsh screech of metal claws scraping against the gravel ground. The sound approached from afar, moving rapidly toward the direction of the factory, and there were a great many of them. The four people's faces turned deathly pale in an instant, and even their breathing hitched. "It's mechanical hounds!" the woman cried out, her voice filled with an unconcealable fear. Listening to the sound, there are at least a dozen of them. The short and stocky man also instantly lost his previous arrogance, cursing with a grim expression. Damn it! Why did they have to come at a time like this? The four of them, even in their prime with guns in hand, would have to give it their all just to deal with one mechanical hound each. With over a dozen surrounding them, they had absolutely no chance of winning. What's more, they had no guns right now. Once surrounded, it would be a dead end. Xiaoxi, eliminate the targets. They only heard Wu Dai finish this sentence, and the next second, the dull and dense sound of machine gun fire suddenly rang out, yet it carried a very strong sense of rhythm. The roaring and metal scraping sounds outside were completely drowned out the moment the machine gun fire began. In no more than 2 seconds, the machine gun fire ceased abruptly, and the area outside the factory returned to dead silence. Not even a trace of mechanical operating sound left. The whole process was so fast that the four of them couldn't even react. They stood frozen in place, their faces filled with disbelief, forgetting even to close their mouths. Over a dozen mechanical hounds, just like that, solved in 2 seconds? Wu Di walked to the factory entrance and swept his gaze outside. The dozen or so mechanical hounds had been completely reduced to a pile of scattered scrap metal parts, strewn across the open ground at the factory entrance, with not even a single complete carcass remaining. He turned back to look at the four people still frozen in place, and casually tossed the purified water and several boxes of unopened canned meat that Su Wanwan had brought over earlier onto the ground in front of them. "Now, can we have a proper chat?" The four of them looked at the clean, purified water and the perfectly sealed canned meat on the ground, then looked at the mechanical hound wreckage scattered all over the factory entrance, and finally looked at the unremarkable pickup truck in the corner of the factory, their throats all bobbing in unison. In this desolate wasteland where not a blade of grass grows, clean water and food are hard currency more precious than gold. Yet the other party just casually brought it out. What shocked them even more was that the dozen or so mechanical hounds that would have forced them to risk their lives were completely wiped out by the other party in 2 seconds. They still couldn't figure out how that broken car, which looked no different from their own vehicle, had managed to fire such fierce artillery. They finally understood completely. If the other party had really had any malice toward them, they wouldn't have even had the qualifications to resist from the very beginning. Chapter 2-63, Wangnan Town. The scar-faced man remained silent for a long time before finally relaxing his tense body. He bowed slightly to Wu Di, his voice no longer hostile or furious, but filled with complexity and awe. "I'm Ironstone, the captain of this squad. Thank you for saving us just now." "I'm Wu Di." Wu Di nodded, his tone remaining calm. "I only want to know 3 things. First, what is this place? Second, what are the Remnant Council and the Scavenger Alliance? Third, what is the situation with your settlement?" Ironstone looked at the water and canned food on the ground, then glanced at his 3 teammates. Finally, he bent down to pick up the purified water, unscrewed the cap, and took a large gulp. The cool water slid down his dry throat, finally allowing him to calm down completely. Wiping the water from the corner of his mouth, he began to speak, recounting the history of this wasteland. According to Ironstone's account, the scavenger plains they were in was the easternmost border region of the Great Qian Empire. 300 years ago, this place was the empire's largest military-industrial base. The entire plain was dotted with munitions factories, smelters, and weapon research institutes, supporting half of the Great Qian Empire's military industry. Until a nationwide mechanical catastrophe broke out, all military machinery and combat units lost control, frantically slaughtering humans. This place fell completely, turning into a desolate wasteland of steel. For 300 years, this land has been filled with rogue mechanical killing units, and there has never been true peace. The Scavenger Alliance is an organization gradually built up over these 300 years by refugees who fled here from all over the empire. All scavengers making a living on this plain rely on the Alliance for support and warmth, working together to scavenge pre-catastrophe supplies and fight off mechanical monsters and external threats. Wangnan Town is the largest permanent settlement of the Scavenger Alliance on this plain, and the home of all scavengers. As for the Remnant Council, they are a power entrenched in the Black Ridge Mountains to the west of the plains. They possess a vast amount of high-tech technology from before the catastrophe, with weapons and equipment far superior to those of the scavengers. According to the Alliance, the Remnant Council is their mortal enemy. This was why, upon seeing Wu Di and Su Wanwan's clean and tidy appearance, not looking at all like disheveled scavengers, they instinctively assumed they were from the Remnant Council. "Then do you know about a large group of outsiders like us who suddenly appeared here today?" Wu Di asked, after listening. This was one of his primary concerns. The influx of 100,000 players would inevitably shatter the balance here, especially since these players might just treat the locals as NPCs. "I don't know." Ironstone shook his head, a hint of confusion in his voice. "We left Wangnan Town early yesterday morning and have been collecting parts in this factory area. We haven't returned to the town, nor have we received any communication from the Alliance, so we're not sure what happened." Wu Di nodded understandingly, his gaze falling on Ironstone as he spoke slowly. "We want to go to the Scavenger Alliance's settlement, Wangnan Town. I can guarantee that we mean no harm to you or the Alliance. We just want to stay here peacefully for a few days. Once the time is up, we will leave and won't cause any trouble for the town." Seeing the hesitation still present in the eyes of Ironstone and his 3 companions, Wu Di added, "On the way, I can guarantee everyone's safety. Whether we encounter a mechanical hound or other trouble, I can handle it. As payment, I can give you a certain amount of food and purified water once we reach Wangnan Town." Ironstone held his breath for a moment and exchanged looks with his teammates. He could see the strong temptation in their eyes. They were already planning to return to Wangnan town after gathering supplies. Now, by following Wu Di, not only would their safety be guaranteed, but they would also receive food and water. Under the current circumstances, it was an offer they simply couldn't refuse. All right. Ironstone nodded immediately without hesitation, though his tone remained firm. I'll lead the way to Wangnan town. But let me be clear. If you have any dangerous intentions toward Wangnan town, or the Alliance, I will report it to the Alliance immediately and risk my life to stop you. And the food and water you promised us, you must give it all to us once we reach the town. The short and stocky man added quickly, his eyes full of longing for food. That won't be a problem, Wu Di said calmly, his voice filled with absolute confidence. As long as you lead the way well, you'll receive every bit of what was promised. Ironstone hesitated for a moment before finally speaking up. Our weapons, can you give them back to us? As soon as he finished, he met Wu Di's gaze. His whole body tensed, and he hurriedly added, We don't want to use them against you, it's just... Seeing his awkward and fearful state, Wu Di didn't waste words. He reached into his personal space and pulled out the 4 quenched hand-forged rifles, along with their matching ammunition belts, casually tossing them onto the ground in front of the 4 men. He was actually quite interested in these hand-tuned rifles, but these 4 people were currently his only window into understanding this world. There was no need to cause complications over a few weapons. Moreover, he knew that once he thoroughly understood the rules of this wasteland, he would eventually gain rewards 100 times more substantial than these guns. The 4 men looked at their returned weapons with a flash of surprise. They quickly bent down to pick them up and checked the firearms, confirming there was no damage. Their gaze toward Wu Di became even more complex. They had thought they would never get these weapons back, but they hadn't expected the other party to return them so easily. Let's go, Wu Di waved his hand. We'll set off now. The sooner we get to the town, the sooner you can relax. Ironstone nodded immediately and signaled to his 3 teammates. The 4 of them quickly climbed onto their off-road vehicle. With a roar of the engine, the vehicle slowly started, turned around, and headed south. The wheels rolled over the gravel ground, kicking up a light cloud of dust. Wu Di and Su Wanwan also turned and walked back into the RV. As soon as they opened the door, they saw Shu Kexen peeking through the gap between the driver's cab and the living area, waiting for them eagerly. She immediately approached them as they entered. Boss, you're finally back. Shu Kexen slapped her hands together, her voice full of annoyance. Next time there's dirty work like confronting people or fighting monsters, let me do it. Chapter 264, Wangyan Town 1. Wu Di looked helplessly at the excited Shu Kexen and sat down in the driver's seat. All right, there will be plenty of chances for you to show off later. After saying that, he turned to the center console screen and ordered, Xiaoxi, follow that off-road vehicle ahead, maintain a safe distance, and don't lose them. Received, Commander. Target vehicle locked, will maintain a 50-meter following distance. The RV started slowly, steadily following Ironstone's team's vehicle as it drove southward. Shu Kexen still didn't give up, leaning closer to the driver's seat and grabbing the backrest to ask, Boss, what was the attitude of those natives just now? Wanwan said they are quite skilled, is that true? If we really fought, could we beat them? Wu Di recalled the force that erupted when the 4 resisted earlier and spoke calmly. In a one-on-one fight, they probably wouldn't be a match for you, but they are definitely stronger than most players. Although Wu Di didn't know their exact physique values, he could clearly perceive that their physical strength far exceeded the limits of Blue Star humans, estimating it to be definitely higher than 50 points. As they were speaking, Lin Shi and Lin Yue walked out of the domain space holding Xiaoya's hand. Xiaoya was still a bit shy, staying close to Lin Yue. When she saw Wu Di, she quickly glanced at him, a flicker of complex emotion in her eyes, before lowering her head again, her long eyelashes hiding her thoughts. Big Brother Wu Di, are you all okay? Lin Shi asked softly, a hint of worry in her eyes. When Wu Di and Su Wanwan were dealing with the scavengers, Su Wanwan had already sent all the details to the team channel. We're fine. Wu Di shook his head and turned his gaze to Xiaoya, his tone softening a bit. We're heading to Wangyan Town now, Xiaoya. You should be very familiar with it, right? Hearing her name, Xiaoya's body trembled slightly, as if startled. She looked up and responded in a small voice. I grew up in Wangyan town. Her voice was thin and soft, carrying an imperceptible trace of nervousness, and her gaze toward the distance held a few unexplainable emotions. That's good. Lin Yu gently stroked her head and said with a smile, With you here, we won't have to worry about getting lost once we reach the town. Boss, when we get to the town, should we look around first? Zhu Kexin leaned even closer, her tone full of anticipation. I'm quite curious what a town on this wasteland is like. Will it be like in the movies with black markets, taverns, and all sorts of strange things? Sister Zhu, the natives are so hostile toward us, we'd better not show our faces carelessly, Su Wanwan advised softly from the side, her eyes full of caution. Wu Dai nodded. We'll figure out the situation first before making other plans, especially you. After Wu Dai finished, he gave Zhu Kexin a pointed look, his eyes carrying a clear warning. I know. Zhu Kexin immediately waved her hand, looking indifferent. I definitely won't cause trouble for you. I'm just curious and want to see. It's not like I'll just start fighting people for no reason, right? Don't worry. I know when to stop. Just as she finished speaking, Xiao Shi's voice suddenly rang out in the cabin. Commander, 1,000 meters ahead, a large fixed architectural structure has been detected. The walls are thick, accompanied by a large number of human life signals, suspected to be Wangyan Town, a permanent settlement of the Scavenger Alliance. Relevant images have been synced to the center console screen. The conversation stopped instantly as everyone crowded around the center console screen while looking out the front window. It was around 1 in the afternoon, and at the edge of their vision, a towering city wall crashed into everyone's sight. Through the clear images on the center console screen, they could see that the wall was not made of a single material, but was cast from a mixture of unknown stone and metal, its surface covered in dense welding marks and scratches of various depths. On the city wall, scavengers holding weapons were patrolling back and forth, vigilantly scanning every inch of the land outside the wall. What caught Wu Dai's eye the most were the massive turrets standing every 50 meters along the wall. Each turret was about 2 meters high, with a rugged and heavy design. The barrels were so thick they would require 2 people to encircle them with their arms. The turret bodies were covered in reinforcement patterns, and the muzzles pointed slightly downward toward the wasteland outside the city. Simple protective steel plates were added around them, exuding a heart-palpitating sense of pressure. What quality of weapon would this be? Wu Di murmured to himself. He thought about how even an ordinary scavenger team like Ironstone's used purple-quality handmade rifles. The defensive weapons displayed by the Scavenger Alliance's largest settlement would likely have power far exceeding his expectations. Boss, what are you muttering about? Zhu Kexin didn't hear him clearly and leaned in to ask curiously, her eyes still fixed on the city wall outside the window, filled with amazement. Wu Di didn't reply to Zhu Kexin. His gaze was locked onto Wangnan Town ahead, his expression becoming increasingly solemn. As they drove closer, everyone could clearly see 2 heavy city gates about 10 meters high facing them, covered in scratches and bullet holes. On both sides of the gates stood over a dozen guards holding firearms, all of them burly and vigilant, with short knives tucked into their waists. Wow, Xiaoya, is this where you grew up? It looks so magnificent. Lin Yue clung to the window, unable to help but exclaim in shock. She had never imagined that such a large-scale settlement could be built on this desolate wasteland. Looking at the approaching city wall, Xiaoya's small body shrank slightly as she whispered, This is the safest place. The Alliance guards will protect us and keep the mechanical monsters out. Her voice didn't hold the same amazement as Lin Yu's. Instead, it carried a trace of imperceptible unease. I didn't expect there to be such a large-scale settlement on this wasteland. Lin Shi also couldn't help but sigh softly as she looked at the towering wall. Su Wanwan remained vigilant, her gaze carefully scanning every guard at the city gate, noting their movements and expressions. Just then, the off-road vehicle of Ironstone's team ahead suddenly slowed down. The short and stocky man in the passenger seat leaned out and waved his hand toward the back, shouting something loudly. "Boss, what is he saying?" Shu Kexen immediately leaned toward the window, frowning as she instinctively leaned forward. "Miss Shu, they are saying for us to slow down and follow closely. The city gate is ahead, and there will be guards performing inspections. They've asked us not to speak out of turn and let them handle all communication to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings." Xiaoxi's voice rang out immediately. Chapter 2065, Wangnian Town 2. Wudi's eyes darkened slightly. "Xiaoxi, follow them closely and shorten the distance to 10 meters. If they make any suspicious moves, don't wait for orders. Fire a shot at them immediately." "Understood, Commander." "Distance adjusted. The fire control system is on standby and ready to launch an attack at any time." The people inside the cabin were slightly surprised to hear this, but they didn't say much. Only Xiaoya's body stiffened visibly upon hearing Wudi's words. She gripped Lin Yu's hand tightly, her face turning pale and her fingertips trembling slightly. Lin Yue quickly patted her back gently and leaned in to whisper some comforting words, her tone soft. "Don't be afraid, we'll be fine. Big Brother Wudi will protect us." Hearing Lin Yue's comfort, Xiaoya's emotions calmed down a bit, but she still stayed close to her, not daring to look up. Under Xiaoxi's precise control, the RV followed closely behind the Ironstone Squad's off-road vehicle, the two vehicles less than 10 meters apart, slowly driving toward the city gate. Looking from a distance earlier, the city wall had already seemed imposing enough, but up close, the overwhelming sense of pressure became even stronger. The wall was about 20 meters high, pressing down like a mountain cliff. Looking up, the top was almost invisible. Two 10-meter-high steel city gates stood silently, their scratches and craters wordlessly telling stories of past battles. The Ironstone Squad's off-road vehicle came to a steady stop at the city gate. Ironstone pushed open the door and jumped down, patted the dust off his clothes, and walked toward the guards. The head guard was a burly man with a thick beard, even taller than Ironstone. Upon seeing Ironstone, a playful smile appeared on his face, and the two began talking in low voices. "Xiaoxi," synced their conversation, word for word. Wudi leaned back in the driver's seat, eyes fixed on the two at the city gate, and gave a low command. "Received, Commander." "Syncing audio." The next second, Xiaoxi's voice rang out in the cabin, repeating the conversation at the gate verbatim. "Ironstone? Didn't you guys head out early yesterday morning? How come you're only back now? I thought you boys had already been picked clean by the mechanical hounds on the scavenger planes." The bearded guard patted Ironstone's shoulder, his tone teasing, but his eyes instinctively swept over the RV disguised as a pickup truck behind them, with a hint of subtle vigilance. Ironstone smiled, his tone carrying a bit of relief. "Good luck, I guess. Ran into some trouble on the road and barely made it back alive. The people in that vehicle behind us are drifters we met on the road. They heard Wangnian Town was safe and followed us all the way, hoping to find a way to survive in the town and stay for a few days." The bearded guard's smile vanished instantly, his face darkening and his tone becoming much more serious. "Drifters? Ironstone, you're not joking, are you? Where would drifters come from at a time like this? Besides, the higher-ups just issued a strict inspection order today. Didn't you get the notification?" Rose-colored glasses were off. The smile on Ironstone's face also froze, looking bewildered. "A strict inspection order? I left town early yesterday morning and didn't receive any communications. What happened? Has the Remnant Council come again?" "It's not the Remnant Council." The bearded guard lowered his voice and looked around to make sure no one was paying attention before leaning into Ironstone's ear, his tone grave. "I heard from the higher-ups that it's not just our scavenger planes. Even the Remnant Council to the north and the myriad machines clans territory to the west have suddenly seen a lot of outsider appearing." Ironstone's pupils shrank slightly, and he quickly followed up. "Outsider? What kind of outsider?" He instinctively looked back at Wudi's pickup, his expression instantly becoming complicated as he finally understood what Wudi meant when he asked earlier if there were large numbers of outsider. "I haven't seen a live one myself, but the higher-ups say the vehicles these people drive are all sorts of strange, completely different from ours." The bearded guard frowned, his tone slightly irritable. Those outsider are crazy. Most of them attack as soon as they see someone, whether it's us scavengers or people from the Remnant Council. Even 3 of our alliance's small settlements have been attacked by them. It's said that these outsider aren't that strong individually, but there are many of them, and they're fast. They hit and run. Hearing this, Ironstone's face changed completely. He finally understood why the higher-ups had urgently issued the strict inspection order, and realized in an instant how much risk he was taking by bringing Wu Dai's group into the town. But when he thought of Wu Dai's unfathomable strength and the promised food and water, he steadied himself and said to the bearded guard, "Brother, these people in the back are really different. They aren't those crazy outsider. They're just ordinary drifters. And look, their vehicle is no different from ours. Do me a favor and let them in for a few days. If anything goes wrong, I, Ironstone, will take full responsibility." The bearded guard fell silent for a moment, his gaze sweeping over the pickup again. Confirming it was the most common scavenger model on the plains with nothing unusual. And seeing Ironstone's sincere expression, he finally breathed a sigh of relief, though his tone remained serious. "Fine. For the sake of our years of brotherhood, I'll trust you this once. But you know the rules. Don't worry, brother. If there's a problem, I'll definitely take the heat. I won't let it affect you." Ironstone nodded quickly, the weight in his heart finally lifting. He turned back to his off-road vehicle, leaned in to grab the 2 cans of meat and 2 bottles of purified water Wu Di had given them earlier from the passenger seat, and hurried back to the guard, stuffing the items into his hands. "Brother, here's a little something. I definitely won't make things difficult for you." The bearded guard skillfully tucked the items into his coat. Feeling the cold surface of the cans with his fingertips, his eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but look at Ironstone again. "Good stuff. Looks like you guys made a big haul this time, to be able to get so many clean cans and water." Ironstone gave a simple smile and waved his hand. "It was all luck. This is all that's left. The rest we have to keep to survive." "All right, then go on in." The bearded guard patted his shoulder and added another warning. "Keep your eyes peeled these next few days. If you see any strange-looking vehicles or people dressed too clean to be scavengers, you better be careful. Ideally, report them to the guard station immediately. The higher-ups are watching this closely." "Got it, brother. Thanks." Ironstone nodded, turned back to his off-road vehicle, waved to the bearded guard, and the vehicle slowly started moving toward the open city gate. He even specifically rolled down the window and waved to Wu Di behind him, signaling them to follow. Chapter 266, Wangnan Town 3. Inside the cabin, Shukexin overheard the entire conversation and couldn't help but sneer. "At least they're sensible enough not to pull any little tricks behind our backs. If they dared to say anything to the guards, I'd go down there and tear their scrap heap of a car apart." Wu Di didn't say anything, his gaze calmly fixed on the city gate. He knew in his heart that Ironstone's cooperation was only due to fear of his strength and the promise of food and water. In this cannibalistic wasteland, there were no eternal friends, only eternal interests. As for what they would encounter after entering the town, whether it would be a blessing or a curse, was still unknown. Just then, Ironstone waved toward the RV again, signaling them to follow quickly. Wu Di took a deep breath and instructed Xiao Shi, "Follow them." "Understood, Commander." The RV slowly drove over. The guards on both sides of the city gate only glanced at the ordinary pickup truck. They didn't question them much or even step forward to inspect it before letting them pass. Passing through the heavy steel city gates, the full view of Wangyan Town finally unfolded before everyone's eyes bit by bit. But the sight that met their eyes was completely different from what they had imagined. The outer walls were towering and sturdy, exuding an aura of indestructibility. But inside the gate was a scene of ruin and chaos. As far as the eye could see, there were low shacks built from scrap steel plates, wooden boards, and iron sheets, squeezed crookedly along both sides of the road. The road was a potholed dirt path with deep ruts carved by wheels, and occasional puddles filled with murky, blackened sewage. The pedestrians on the road were all covered in grime. Occasionally, a few guards carrying firearms could be seen walking past with hurried steps and serious expressions, their gazes scanning the crowd with undisguised vigilance. Xiaoxi, pay attention to recording all information along the way. Don't miss any details, Wu Di instructed in a low voice, leaning back in the driver's seat as his gaze swept over every corner outside the window. Understood, Commander. Xiaoxi has begun recording. All information will be archived synchronously. Wu Di nodded slowly, his gaze still fixed outside the window. No way! This is Wangyan Town? Xu Kexin clung to the car window, her face full of disbelief. The outer walls looked so tall and grand, yet it's this dilapidated inside. It's completely different from what I imagined. I thought there would at least be a few decent streets. This is way too run down compared to the wasteland outside. It just has a few more walls. Lin Yue also couldn't help but frown, her eyes filled with surprise as she looked at the dilapidated scene outside. She had originally thought that a settlement capable of building such high walls would be clean and tidy, even if it wasn't prosperous. But she hadn't expected it to look like this. Just then Xiao Ya, who had been silent and barely spoke, suddenly spoke up in a small voice. This is the outer city. It's where ordinary refugees and scavengers live. The people in the cabin stopped their discussion instantly and all looked toward Xiao Ya. Being stared at by so many eyes, Xiao Ya panicked instantly. She shrank back and immediately hid behind Lin Yu, only showing half of her small head, her little hands tightly clutching the hem of Lin Yu's clothes, not daring to speak anymore. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. We're just curious. Nothing else, Lin Yue said, quickly turning around to shield her in her arms, gently stroking her head and coaxing her softly. Xiao Ya, tell me about it. Under Lin Yue's comfort, Xiao Ya's emotions calmed down a bit, though she was still timid, her voice as small as a mosquito's hum. In the middle of the town, there's the inner city. That's where the big shots of the Alliance live, and the Guardians and the Arsenal are both inside. Ordinary scavengers like us can't get in at all. I've only heard others say that it's very beautiful inside, with clean houses, and water and food that you don't have to fight for. Listening to Xiao Ya's words and looking at the dilapidated scene outside, Wu Di didn't show the slightest surprise. No matter the environment, social classes always exist, especially in this kind of apocalyptic environment where resources are scarce and survival is precarious. Power and resources only become more concentrated. Just then, Ironstone's off-road vehicle in front suddenly came to a stop. The RV slowed down and came to a steady halt behind the off-road vehicle. Wu Di looked up. This was an open space enclosed by a wire fence. Over a dozen scavenger off-road vehicles and pickups were parked haphazardly on the lot. The ground was covered in oil stains and discarded parts, making it look like a crude open-air parking lot. Looking at the situation, Wu Di slowly stood up and said deeply to the others in the cabin, "All of you stay in the vehicle. Don't come out." After saying that, he pushed open the car door and walked out alone. Ironstone had long since gotten out of his off-road vehicle and was waiting by the car. Seeing Wu Di get out, he quickly stepped forward to meet him, though his steps were somewhat hesitant. His body was slightly tense, and his eyes were full of wariness and even a hint of trepidation, fearing Wu Di might suddenly turn violent. Mr. Wu. Ironstone swallowed and spoke in a low voice. There are rules in the town. Except for the Guardians and Alliance vehicles, all private vehicles are not allowed to drive within the city. They can only be parked in this lot. I'll find a temporary place for you to stay, not far from here. I'll take you there. Wu Di looked at his nervous appearance with a calm expression. He didn't speak, only giving a faint nod. Ironstone felt uneasy under his gaze and quickly added, his voice even trembling slightly, "What I said is true. I'm definitely not lying to you. Those are the town's rules. If I've told a single lie, you can do with me as you please." Finally, Wu Di spoke slowly, his voice calm and level. "Wait for me a moment." After saying that, he turned back to the RV, pulled open the door, and stepped inside. "Big brother Wu Di?" Su Wanwan immediately stood up, her hand already gripping her rifle, her eyes full of vigilance. "Su Wanwan, come down with me." Wu Di nodded to her, then glanced at the others in the cabin. The three of you stay here, don't come out. Don't worry, boss. Shukexen patted her chest and chuckled. I'll definitely protect your little darlings well. I won't let anyone get near our vehicle. Wu Dai glared at her fiercely, ignored her, and walked to the coffee table in the cabin. He picked up 2 large bags of food and water that Lin Shi had prepared in advance. Inside were mostly compressed biscuits and canned meat that they rarely ate, along with over a dozen bottles of perfectly sealed, purified water. Carrying the 2 large bags, he gave Su Wanwan a look, and the 2 of them walked out of the RV together. Wu Di casually handed the 2 large bags of food and water to Iron Stone. Iron Stone froze for a moment, subconsciously taking them. They were heavy in his hands. He looked down and, seeing the bags filled with cans and purified water, his eyes instantly widened, his face full of disbelief. His 3 teammates also crowded around, and seeing the items in the bags, they all gasped, their faces filled with pleasant surprise. Chapter 267, Wangnin Town 4. Mr. Wu, this is too much. Ironstone hurriedly looked up and said to Wu Di, We agreed that it was just for leading the way. It doesn't take this much. Part of it is a reward for leading the way, and the other part is because I want to ask for a favor, Wu Di said calmly. I want to get some weapons. Do you have any channels? As long as you can get them, I can exchange food and water for them. Hearing this, the surprise on Ironstone's face faded a bit, replaced by a hesitant look. In Wangyan Town, although weapons and ammunition weren't strictly controlled, trading them to outsiders, he was still a bit worried. But he looked down at the 2 heavy bags of food and water in his hands, the well-sealed canned meat and purified water. After a moment of silence, he finally gritted his teeth and nodded, saying to Wu Di, I can help you think of a way, but it will take some time, and the price won't be cheap. No problem, Wu Di nodded. Time is not an issue. As long as the items can be obtained, the price is negotiable. Having settled the matter, Ironstone breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly made a gesturing motion to Wu Di. Mr. Wu, I'll take you to a place to stay first. It's not far ahead. After saying that, he had his 3 teammates put the food and water back into the off-road vehicle and lock it up, while he personally led Wu Di and Su Wanwan toward the depths of the alley outside the parking lot. They walked for nearly 30 minutes. As Wu Di walked, he quietly observed the surroundings. The streets of the outer city were even more dilapidated than what he had seen when they first entered. The deeper they went into the alleys, the denser the roadside shacks became, crowded together crookedly like piles of randomly stacked scrap metal. The air was filled with a pungent odor. Occasionally encountering a few scavengers who saw the clean, tidy, and spotless Wu Di and Su Wanwan, these scavengers all stopped what they were doing and cast strange looks at them in unison. Those eyes held a mix of curiosity, vigilance, and a hint of unconcealable greed. It wasn't until Wu Di swept a cold gaze over them that a palpable sense of pressure instantly spread, causing those people to hurriedly avert their eyes, shrinking their necks and lowering their heads, not daring to take another look. The entire outer city was like a giant, chaotic slum. Everywhere was permeated with numbness, despair, and a deep-seated ruthlessness. Finally, Ironstone stopped in front of a dilapidated 3-story building. The building looked like it had been abandoned for many years. The walls were covered in cracks, most of the windows were boarded up, the stair railings were rusted beyond recognition, and the main door on the first floor had a large hole in it, with nothing to block it. Mr. Wu, this is the place, Ironstone said to Wu Di, his tone carrying a hint of imperceptible unease. This building is currently unoccupied. There are a few intact rooms on the second floor with working doors and windows that can be locked from the inside. Staying for a few days won't be a problem, and no one will come to disturb you. He paused, then hurriedly added, The town is a mix of dragons and snakes, all sorts of people. You've just arrived and are unfamiliar with the place, so it's best not to wander around or get into conflicts easily. In the outer city, someone dying is no different from an ant dying. The guardians won't care at all. Wu Di looked up at the dilapidated building, his gaze lingering for a moment on the several interconnected alleys surrounding it, and he slowly nodded. Then, Mr. Wu, we'll head back first. Regarding the weapons, I'll come find you as soon as I have news." Seeing that Wu Di made no response, Ironstone was still terrified and spoke up quickly, subconsciously taking half a step back. Wu Di responded flatly. As if granted a grand amnesty, Ironstone hurriedly bowed slightly to Wu Di, turned, and walked away quickly. He couldn't help but look back repeatedly, until he turned into the depths of the alley, and his figure completely disappeared before he dared to quicken his pace. Only when Ironstone's presence had completely vanished from his perception did Su Wanwan speak softly. "Big Brother Wu Di, I always feel like something is wrong. This place he found for us is too remote. There isn't even a permanent resident around. And with the alleys branching out in all directions, if someone were to surround us, there wouldn't even be a proper way to retreat." "I know." Wu Di nodded slowly, his gaze sweeping over the surrounding buildings, his expression remaining calm and undisturbed. He could naturally see that this place was not a secure temporary residence at all. It was remote, hidden, and had limited visibility. A typical spot that was easy to attack but hard to defend. Ironstone might not have been without ulterior motives in arranging for them to stay here. But he wasn't particularly worried. In the face of absolute strength, any schemes or plots were futile. If anything were to happen, he was confident he could lead Su Wanwan to a safe retreat. The reason he cooperated with Ironstone and followed him here was simply that he didn't want to fall out with the locals right after stepping into Wangnan town. Until he had completely grasped the situation of this world and the strength of the locals, keeping a low profile and lying low was the safest choice. Wu Di withdrew his gaze and looked at the dilapidated 3-story building. "Let's go. Let's take a look inside." As the two of them walked into the doorway, a strong smell of mold and rust instantly hit them. The walls were riddled with bullet holes and blade marks, and most of the stairs were cracked. The two of them went up to the second floor. As Ironstone had said, there were 3 rooms where the wooden doors were still relatively intact, with hinges and locks that functioned normally. Pushing open one of them, the room contained only a dilapidated wooden bed and an overturned wooden cabinet. The floor was covered in dust, and other than that, it was empty. However, the windows were tightly sealed with wooden boards, which indeed provided some degree of concealment. After a quick glance, Wu Di took out his personal terminal and sent a message in the team channel. "Have Xiaoxi activate the holographic phantom camouflage and drive everyone here." He had absolute confidence in his own strength, but he was never blindly arrogant, at least until he had completely figured out the overall strength of Wangyan Town, especially the hidden trump cards in the inner city. Staying in the RV equipped with the red-quality ancient construct armor was much safer than staying in this drafty, dilapidated building. Less than 10 minutes after the message was sent, Lin Shi's reply came through the team channel. "Big Brother Wu Di, we've arrived at the entrance." Wu Di and Su Wanwan immediately turned and went downstairs. Walking to the building's entrance and looking out, the view was empty, with only dust swirled by the wind. Let alone the RV, not even a shadow of a vehicle could be seen. If it weren't for the team channel's positioning clearly showing the RV just 3 meters away, the two wouldn't have even noticed any trace of a vehicle. At this moment, Wu Di finally felt that the gold-quality item, holographic phantom camouflage, which had been of little use before, had finally truly proven its value. Chapter 268, Mutual Hunting. In the next second, the air before them rippled slightly, and the open door of the RV appeared on the previously empty ground. Wu Di and Su Wanwan stepped into the vehicle and saw Shu Kexin, Lin Shi, Lin Yu, and Xiao Ya gathered around the coffee table, looking in their direction. "Boss, you're finally back." Shu Kexin was the first to approach, her voice filled with irrepressible excitement. "How is it? When do we make our move?" "Sister Zhu." Lin Shi helplessly reached out to pull her back, then quickly walked up to Wu Di and asked softly, "Big Brother Wu Di, nothing unexpected happened, right?" "Not for now." Wu Di sat down in the driver's seat, his gaze sweeping across the environmental scan on the center console screen as he spoke slowly. "I plan to trade food and water with him for a batch of local weapons." "Huh? Boss?" We aren't short on weapons. Shu Kexin's eyes immediately widened. Wu Di turned and glared at her. Lin Shi immediately composed herself and spoke with a serious tone. Big brother Wu Di, take a look at the communication channel first. Many players are treating these natives as system NPCs and are preparing to hunt them down to loot equipment and supplies. And some are saying that the natives are also hunting down outside players, Lin Yu added in a low voice. They say those natives' weapons are incredibly powerful. Many players' vehicles have been pierced through, and both the people and their cars were wiped out instantly. As they were talking, Xiaoya, who had been timidly shrinking behind Lin Yu, suddenly looked up and said softly, Those people are very likely from the Remnant Council. The Alliance leader said they often capture people to take back for experiments. Many scavengers have been taken by them and never returned. Her voice was thin and soft, but it carried an unmistakable fear. Wu Di looked at Xiaoya and nodded slowly before opening the communication channel. The first thing he saw was the glaring number in the top right corner. Current area online players, 82,385 100,000. In just half a day, nearly 2,000 more players had perished, with the total death toll exceeding 17,000. Messages in the channel refreshed rapidly, with dense comments scrolling frantically. Don't be cowards. These natives are just NPCs provided by the system. Kill them to drop equipment and supplies. I just slaughtered 2 and got 2 purple quality rifles. These natives are so fierce. If I hadn't run fast, my car would have been blown up. I ran into a native convoy just now that chased me for a long time. Luckily, I noticed early and didn't let them catch up. What bad luck. Has anyone found any supply crates? I'm almost out of food and water. Why is this world full of ruins with no supplies at all? Emergency warning to everyone. One of the known factions in this world is called the Scavenger Alliance, and they have quite a few people. Be careful, these natives' weapons are extremely powerful. Blue quality armor can't even withstand a few shots. What kind of hellish dungeon is this? I got chased half a block by mechanical hounds as soon as I entered, and then got sniped by natives. Nearly 20,000 people died in just half a day. Is the system trying to kill us all here? Holy crap, you guys won't believe it. My partner and I just killed a native. He was so tough he could dodge bullets, and even after being shot a few times, he was fine. Luckily, he couldn't handle the rifle. Has anyone noticed? These natives aren't NPCs at all. They have their own consciousness and a complete social structure. This isn't a system-generated scenario. We've crossed over into another world. I advise everyone to clear your heads. Don't kill indiscriminately. We're strangers in a strange land and don't know how deep the waters are here. Indiscriminate killing will only make all the natives hostile toward us. If we become public enemies, no one will survive these 7 days. Just wiped out a small native outpost. It was full of purple-quality firearms. This was a massive win. Anyone brave enough to join me? Is no one going to take the lead and form a team to do something big? These natives are hunting us, so why can't we hunt them? Ranked 358th globally, leading a hunting party. Supplies split 50/50ths. If you want in, open the trading channel, search for 7.62mm ammo, click buy, and I'll add you as a friend. Everyone calm down. Those who died were all the ones looking for trouble. Those who stay low and scout the environment are mostly fine. The system's requirement is to survive for 7 days, not to kill and loot. If you want to live, stay low-key and don't bring disaster upon all the players. Don't believe that guy ranked 358th. Damn it, 10 bottles of water for 1 bullet. I've been scammed. F you. Don't let me find out who you are. Wu Di's gaze quickly swept over these frantically scrolling comments, his expression showing no ripples of emotion. He wasn't surprised by the players' reactions at all. After all, since entering this survival world, all the monsters and crises they encountered had been system-generated dungeon content, leading to a fixed mindset that killing a target yields rewards. Even if there was some initial panic from the sudden wave of deaths upon entering the new area, half a day was enough for most players to recover and start treating these natives as new conquerable targets. Seeing Wu Di look up, Everyone in the cabin stopped talking and looked at him in unison. Shu Kexen immediately approached and said excitedly, "Boss, you saw it too. Other players are starting to team up. What about us? With our strength, if we went over, we'd definitely be the top dogs. Then, never mind a few crappy guns, we could just take whatever we want. It'd be so much easier." As soon as she said this, Xiaoya, who was already huddled next to Lin Yue, trembled instantly. Her face turned pale, and her small hands tightly gripped the corner of Lin Yue's clothes. Her shoulders shook slightly, and she didn't even dare to look up, her eyes instantly clouding with tears. Seeing this, Su Wanwan quickly reached out to pull Shu Kexen's arm and gave her a pointed look. Shu Kexen finally realized she had misspoken and hurriedly moved to Xiaoya's side, softening her voice. "Oh, Xiaoya, I'm so sorry. I was just talking nonsense. I didn't really mean we were going to rob people, and we definitely wouldn't hurt anyone from your alliance. I'm not a bad person, don't be scared." But Xiaoya still kept her head down, not daring to look up, her body still trembling slightly. Seeing this, Lin Yue quickly pulled Xiaoya into a tight embrace, gently patting her back to comfort her. She turned to Shu Kexen and scolded, "Sister Zhu, stop scaring Xiaoya. Look at how frightened she is." Shu Kexen rubbed her nose sheepishly and retreated to the side, falling silent. Wu Dai leaned back in the driver's seat, his mind rapidly organizing the information from the communication channel and everything he had observed throughout the day. Chapter 269. Unable to probe. He knew very well in his heart that the relationship between players and natives would only become increasingly tense from here on, potentially even escalating into a complete life-and-death opposition. Players wanted to get equipment, supplies, and survival chips from the natives, while the natives couldn't possibly turn a blind eye to the sudden influx of 100,000 outsiders. They must have already begun investigating their origins and likely even prepared countermeasures. Thinking of this, he looked down at the clean, neat clothes on himself and Su Wanwan, then recalled the strange looks, as if they were alien beings, thrown their way by the scavengers they passed along the way. His brow furrowed slightly. He had absolute reason to believe that the upper echelons of the Scavenger Alliance already knew of the existence of outside players. Their outfits, which were completely out of place in the wasteland, practically screamed outsider the moment they appeared in public. There was no way to conduct a low-profile investigation like this. "We need to disguise our identities first," Wu Di spoke slowly, breaking the silence in the cabin. "Our current appearance is too inconsistent with this environment. We'll be the center of attention wherever we go." "Let me do it. Let me do it. Boss, leave this to me." Shu Kexen's eyes instantly lit up, her previous sheepishness swept away. She raised her hand abruptly as if afraid Wu Di would change his mind, stepped forward to grab his arm, and then waved excitedly at Su Wanwan. "Wanwan, you come over too. I guarantee that once I'm done with you two, you could be thrown into a pile of scavengers and no one would recognize you." With that, she dragged Wu Di and Su Wanwan toward the entrance of the domain space without another word. Lin Yue watched the three of them hurry off, and couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. In her arms, Xiaoya also quietly looked up toward the entrance, a hint of curiosity flashing in her eyes. Less than 30 minutes later, Shu Kexen was the first to emerge from the domain space. With a triumphant smile on her face, she gave Lin Shi and Lin Yue a done gesture. Immediately following her, Wu Di and Su Wanwan walked out one after the other. When Lin Shi and Lin Yue saw the two of them clearly, they were stunned for a moment before they couldn't help but burst into laughter. At this moment, the originally clean and crisp black windbreaker on Wu Dai had been rubbed white in places. The cuffs and pant legs had been given a distressed treatment, and they were stained with realistic oil and dust, looking as if he had been rolling around in the wasteland for several years. His entire person looked almost no different from the ordinary scavengers seen everywhere on the streets. It was the same for Su Wanwan beside him. Her originally clean white t-shirt had been replaced with a worn gray work shirt, her pant legs were tucked into durable work boots, and her face was dusted with light grime. A few stray strands of hair fell from her ponytail. She still looked delicate and steady, but she no longer had that sense of cleanliness that clashed with this wasteland. She was the spitting image of a nimble young girl who had scavenged outdoors for years. "How is it? My craftsmanship isn't bad, right?" Shu Kekson tilted her chin up proudly. "I guarantee that even if Ironstone were standing right here, he wouldn't recognize you unless he leaned in to look very closely." "It's indeed quite good." Wu Di looked down at his clothes and nodded with satisfaction. Then he looked at Lin Shi and the others. "Su Wanwan and I will go out for a walk to conduct an in-depth investigation of the outer city's layout and find the specific location of the inner city. You three stay in the RV, activate the holographic phantom camouflage, follow behind us, and keep the communication channel open the whole time." After speaking, he looked up and instructed the air, "Xiaoxi, follow us closely throughout. Scan the entire town's layout synchronously and record all key points. Don't miss any details." "Understood, Commander. Xiaoxi will fully record all terrain and building information of Wangnan Town and synchronously update it to the central control system." Xiaoxi's voice immediately rang out in the cabin. At this time, Xiaoya also looked up, her small face still carrying a lingering fear. She said softly, You must not go near the inner city. The guards there are very mean." Wu Di gave Xiaoya a deep look and nodded slightly to her. Then he led Su Wanwan back into the dim streets and alleys of the outer city. This time, the two of them, now dressed as scavengers, no longer drew the collective stares they had before. Occasionally, a passing scavenger would glance at them, but they would quickly look away without lingering. Wu Di led Su Wanwan through the streets and alleys of the outer city at a leisurely pace. His steps weren't fast, yet he took in everything along the way. As they walked, he inconspicuously observed the distribution of buildings. The entire outer city of Wangyan Town was much larger than they had imagined when they first entered. The crisscrossing streets and alleys were like a giant spiderweb, spreading outward in circles around the central inner city. Along the way, besides the densely packed simple shacks, they could occasionally see some abandoned large factory workshops. But the deeper they went into the alleys, the more clearly Wu Di could feel the thick, inescapable despair on this land. Most of the scavengers on the streets were sallow and emaciated, their eyes numb and hollow. In the corners of the road, curled-up elderly people could be seen from time to time. After wandering through the outer city for a full 2 hours and crossing over a dozen intersecting main roads, Wu Di finally stopped and looked toward the center of the town. At the end of his vision, a tall, silver-gray city wall stood like a dormant steel dragon across the very center of the town, completely isolating the chaos and dilapidation of the outer city. This wall was cast entirely from an unknown metal. The surface was smooth and flat without a single crack, and it stood at least 10 meters high. Directly facing them was a heavy gate also made entirely of metal. Standing at the gate were over 20 members of the Guardians carrying rifles. Every one of them was burly with a cold expression, wearing uniform metal armor with standard-issue short swords at their waists. The level of security was more than a magnitude higher than that of the outer city gates. What made Wu Di narrow his eyes was this seemingly empty metal wall. Not a single patrolling guard could be seen on top of the wall, nor were there any of the heavy open-air turrets found on the outer city walls. The surface was empty, appearing to have no defenses at all. Within 100 meters of the inner city wall there were no buildings, not even a single shack. It was a barren, empty zone. At this moment, Su Wanwan suddenly spoke in a low voice. "Big Brother Wu Di," Xiao Yu said in the team channel, "that there is strong electromagnetic interference in the inner city area. Xiaoxi's conventional scan cannot penetrate it. She's asking if she should consume energy to initiate a deep scan to forcibly investigate the internal situation." Wu Di looked at the inner city wall not far away and remained silent for a moment. Chapter 270, Master E. No need. Wu Di stood where he was, quietly observing the inner city walls across the 100-meter-wide security buffer zone for a few minutes. Then, he gave Su Wanwan a slight nod and turned to lead her away. The two spent nearly another hour getting a general sense of the remaining areas of the outer city before heading back toward that abandoned 3-story building. By the time they returned to the building's entrance, a faint dusk yellow had begun to spread across the horizon. It was exactly 4:50 p.m. As soon as Wudi and Su Wanwan returned to the RV, Shu Kexin immediately approached them. Wudi walked straight to the center console screen and commanded the air. Xiaoxi, have you scanned a complete layout of Wangyong Town yet? Commander, terrain scanning and 3D layout mapping for 100% of the Wangyong Town outer city area have been completed. The full map has been synchronized to the center console screen. The inner city area has strong electromagnetic signal shielding, making it impossible to probe the internal layout. In the next second, the center console screen lit up instantly, clearly displaying a complete 3D layout of the Wangyong Town outer city to everyone. Seeing the dense network of streets, building labels, and crisscrossing hidden passages on the screen, everyone in the cabin couldn't help but gasp. This Wangyong Town was far more massive than they had imagined when entering. The entire outer city spread out in an irregular circle centered on the inner city. It spanned a full 8 kilometers from east to west and 6 kilometers from north to south, with a total area of nearly 50 square kilometers, equivalent to the scale of a complete small county town. The streets and alleys inside were interlaced like a dense spiderweb. My God, it's actually this big. Lin Yu's eyes widened in disbelief, her small hand instinctively covering her mouth. Commander, there are currently approximately 6,548 human signals in the Wangyong Town outer city, primarily concentrated near the core area of the inner city. Simultaneously, there are a large number of vacant and abandoned buildings. Xiaoxi's voice rang out again. Wudi's gaze was locked onto the layout map on the center console screen, while many doubts rose in his heart. Just then, Xiaoxi's voice spoke up once more. Commander, detected a human target approaching rapidly. Only one person. Direction of movement is toward the current building location. Target identity matched. Ironstone. Wudi looked up at the real-time footage on the center console screen. Seeing Ironstone walking quickly with a hurried expression, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Su Wanwan, come down with me. The two followed the crumbling stairs up to the second floor and entered the locked room they had seen earlier. They pulled the wooden door shut behind them, leaving only a small crack, and waited quietly for Ironstone's arrival. In less than 3 minutes, hurried footsteps came from downstairs. Wu Dai gave Su Wanwan a look, slowly stood up, pushed the door open, and walked out, bumping right into Ironstone just as he reached the second floor. Ironstone skidded to a halt. When he saw the pair's attire, he was momentarily stunned, his eyes widening and his face filled with bewilderment. If he hadn't seen their previous appearance with his own eyes and been deeply impressed by that bone-deep sense of pressure Wu Di exuded, he probably wouldn't have recognized these two people, even if he walked past them on the street. Mr. Wu? Ironstone spoke tentatively, his tone carrying a hint of uncertainty. It's me. Wu Di nodded and got straight to the point. What about the weapons? Hearing this, the bewilderment on Ironstone's face instantly vanished, replaced by an expression of difficulty and embarrassment. He rubbed his hands together and leaned half a step forward, yet didn't dare get too close. With a bitter face, he whispered, Mr. Wu, I'm sorry. What I promised you before, I'm afraid I can't pull it off. Why? Wu Di's tone remained calm, betraying no emotion, yet that invisible pressure still caused a layer of cold sweat to break out on Ironstone's back. It's not that I don't want to help you. It's that things have really changed, Ironstone explained hurriedly, his tone urgent for fear that Wu Di would misunderstand. Today, a lot of outsiders suddenly appeared on the wasteland, attacking our scavenger squads everywhere and looting 2 small peripheral settlements. A lot of people died. The Alliance High Level was furious and just issued a strict order today. All weapons and ammunition are under strict control. He paused and added, It's not just controlling weapons. The Alliance has already organized a large number of Guardians and scavenger convoys to go out and surround those outsiders. Right now, there aren't many young men left in the outer city. Almost all of them have gone out with the convoys. Hearing this, a flash of realization crossed Wu Di's eyes. No wonder he hadn't seen many people this afternoon. Since players were hunting and looting the locals as if they were NPCs, It was impossible for the locals to just sit and wait for death. This conflict had broken out even faster than he had anticipated. Seeing Wu Dai's consistently calm and expressionless face, Ironstone felt increasingly nervous. He quickly raised his hand and added solemnly, "Mr. Wu, I'm really not lying to you. The whole town knows about this now. If I've said a single false word, you can deal with me right now." "I know you're not lying to me." Wu Di spoke slowly, his gaze falling on Ironstone. "Is there no other way?" He knew very well that if even a common scavenger squad like Ironstone's was using handmade rifles of purple quality, then there must absolutely be gold-quality weapons, or even higher-quality equipment in Wangnan town. That was what he truly wanted. Hearing this, Ironstone showed obvious hesitation, his brows furrowing tightly. After a long silence, he gritted his teeth and whispered, "There is a way. There's a firearm modifier in the outer city that everyone calls Master E. In the entire outer city, only he has the good stuff. But his fees are peculiar, and I'm not sure if you can make a trade." Ironstone knew very well that Wu Di was an outsider who had only been in Wangnan town for half a day. There was a high probability he wouldn't have any special materials that Master E would find interesting. He hadn't wanted to say much about this, but thinking of Wu Di's unfathomable strength and the food and water the man could produce at will, he ultimately shared the information. To his surprise, upon hearing this, an imperceptible flash of joy crossed Wu Di's eyes, and his tone carried an unquestionable certainty. "Take me there." "Huh?" Ironstone blanked for a moment, not reacting. "I said, take me to see this Master E," Wu Di repeated. His tone was calm, yet it carried an undeniable pressure. Looking at Wu Di's brook no argument expression, Ironstone's heart skipped a beat. Finally, he gritted his teeth and nodded. "Fine, I'll take you, Mr. Wu. When we get there, please be patient. Whatever you do, don't get into a conflict with Master E, or else." Chapter 271, Golden Weapon. "Rest assured?" Wu Dai replied indifferently, "I am just going to buy weapons, not to look for trouble." Ironstone finally breathed a sigh of relief, quickly turned around to lead the way, and took Wu Di and Su Wanwan downstairs, heading in the direction of the southwest corner of the outer city. Passing through 7 or 8 narrow alleys along the way, Wu Di looked at the familiar buildings around him, and his heart was clear. He had been to this area when he was exploring in the afternoon. It was one of the few areas in the outer city where vacant buildings were relatively concentrated. After walking for nearly 20 minutes, Ironstone finally stopped in front of a small 2-story building. This small building seemed particularly out of place in this messy and dilapidated alley. The outer walls were spliced and reinforced with whole pieces of discarded armored steel plates, seamless and without the slightest damage. The windows were all fitted with fine metal protective bars, and the glass made it impossible to see the situation inside the house at all. "Mr. Wu, this is the place." Ironstone lowered his voice and said, making a hush gesture to the two of them before stepping forward and gently knocking on the heavy metal door. After knocking 3 times, there was no movement inside. Ironstone was not in a hurry and knocked a few more times in a specific rhythm. A few seconds later, a soft click sound came from the metal door, and the lock opened from the inside. Ironstone pushed the door open and led Wu Di and Su Wanwan inside. The moment he entered, Wu Di raised his eyebrows slightly. Completely different from what he had imagined, although the room was filled with various parts and equipment whose names he could not name, they were arranged in an orderly manner. The air was filled with a faint smell of machine oil and the peculiar scent of quenched metal, without the musty and foul smell that could be seen everywhere in the outer city. On the main wall of the room hung a dozen firearms of various shapes, ranging from pistols and rifles to shotguns. "Master E?" Ironstone lowered his voice and called out towards the direction of the inner room. "We are here to modify firearms." As soon as he finished speaking, the door to the inner room was pushed open, and a man walked out from inside. The man looked to be around 40 years old, not very tall, with a lean figure. His black and white hair was tied into a low ponytail at the back of his head, revealing a smooth forehead. His fingers were slender, and his fingertips and knuckles were covered with thick calluses, as well as many fine burns and scratches. It was obvious that he was someone who had dealt with firearms and machine tools for many years, and there was no expression on his face. He was wearing a washed-out dark work uniform with his sleeves rolled up to his forearms. He was clean and didn't have a single spot of oil on him. "It's you, Ironstone." Master Yi's gaze fell on Ironstone, his tone flat, with no discernible emotion, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint trace of mockery. "What? Changed teammates again? Did those 3 kids who came out with you last time die in the wasteland?" "Master, you flatter me." Ironstone laughed awkwardly, quickly stepped aside to make room, pointed to Wu Di and Su Wanwan beside him and said, "Master, these 2 are my friends. They are here in Wangnan town for the first time and would like to get some handy weapons from you." Master Yi's gaze then fell on Wu Di and Su Wanwan. His eyes swept back and forth over the 2 of them twice, and after a long while he slowly opened his mouth, his voice hoarse. "What kind of weapons do you want?" "The greater the power, the better. The higher the quality, the better." Wu Di met his gaze, his tone calm without any hesitation. Master Yi raised his eyebrows, seemingly surprised by this answer, yet also seeming to find it reasonable. He didn't say anything more, turned around to the workbench beside him, bent down to take out 3 rifles from the cabinet, and placed them casually on the table. Wu Di stepped forward and picked up one of them to examine it carefully. Just as he had expected, these 3 were all the same quenched hand-cast rifles that Ironstone and his team had, all of purple quality, with standard performance, and held no attraction for him. "Master Yi, is there anything of better quality?" Wu Di put down the rifle in his hand, looked up at Master Yi, and asked in a calm tone. As soon as these words were spoken, Master Yi's eyes changed instantly. He looked Wu Di and Su Wanwan up and down again, the corners of his mouth curling into a smile that was not quite a smile. "Of course I have better ones. But can you afford the price?" "As long as the weapons are suitable, price is not an issue." Wu Di nodded without hesitation. Master Yi stared at Wu Di for a full half-minute, as if judging the truth of his words. After a while he sneered, dropped the words, "Wait," and turned to walk into the inner room. About 5 minutes later, Master Yi walked out of the inner room, holding a black metal box in his hands. He walked to the workbench, opened the box, took out the 3 weapons inside one by one, and placed them gently on the table. A large caliber revolver with a rugged design, a black submachine gun with smooth lines, and a heavy-bodied double-barreled shotgun. Wu Di's gaze fell on the 3 weapons, his fingertips gently brushing over the gun bodies, and the system's attribute panel popped up instantly. When he saw the attributes on the panel clearly, his eyes finally revealed surprise that he could hardly hide. Judgment Revolver, Golden Quality, a high-power revolver custom-modified by Master E50. Caliber, effective range 150 meters, 6 rounds. Significantly improves bullet muzzle velocity and trajectory stability, can withstand ultra-high chamber pressure, and balances sensitivity with tolerance. Damage to living organisms is doubled after hitting flesh targets, the bullet fragments to form a cavitation effect, causing irreversible massive trauma, compatible with all large-caliber ammunition of the same specification, with 0 attenuation and compatibility. No performance attenuation or failure rate in extreme environments. E18 submachine gun, Golden Quality, a deeply modified version of the Remnant Council standard, silenced submachine gun by Master EE, 9mm caliber, effective range 200 meters, 50 rounds. Rate of fire 1,200 rounds per minute. Comes with an integrated silencer and flash hider, achieving 0 muzzle flash and ultra-micro gunshot sound when firing. Comes with armor-piercing tearing effect. Can penetrate 10 millimeters thick homogeneous steel plates and light armor. The bullet tumbles and expands after hitting the target, causing continuous high tearing damage. Compatible with all 9mm specification ammunition. No performance attenuation or failure rate in extreme environments. Double-barreled shotgun, Golden Quality, a pump-action double-barreled shotgun custom, modified by Master EE, 12 gauge, effective range 80 meters, 10 rounds. When both barrels are fired simultaneously, it 100% triggers an area armor piercing effect, capable of tearing through light armor and mechanical unit casings within the effective range, with increased damage against mechanical targets, compatible with all 12-gauge shotgun shells. No performance attenuation or failure rate in extreme environments. Chapter 272, A Guaranteed Profit. 3 weapons, and all of them were modified by Master E. Although Wu Di wasn't sure how effective they were, the gold quality displayed on the system interface was undeniable. Wu Di put down the judgment revolver in his hand and looked at Master E. "Master E, what are the prices for these 3 weapons?" Master E leaned against the workbench behind him, his gaze sweeping back and forth between Wu Di and Su Wanwan. After a long while, he finally spoke slowly. "Getting these 3 guns is very simple. You should know about the outsiders who suddenly appeared on this wasteland today, right?" Wu Di nodded without changing his expression, not saying much. "Bring me 10 weapons from the outsiders, any model will do, plus food and purified water for 2 people for half a month." Master E's gaze fell on Wu Di. "Then these 3 guns will be yours." "Deal." Wu Di nodded and agreed without hesitation, not even bargaining in the slightest. "I'll deliver the items to you later. Keep these 3 guns for me first." After saying that, he gave a slight nod to Master E and turned to walk towards the door without any lingering. Iron Stone stood frozen on the spot, completely unexpected that Wu Di would agree so readily. It took him a while to react, and he hurriedly said goodbye to Master E before quickly following after him. As the two walked out of the small building, Wu Di suddenly stopped and turned to look at Iron Stone beside him, asking, "Is there a way to enter the inner city?" The smile on Iron Stone's face instantly froze, and he waved his hands repeatedly. "Mr. Wu, that's absolutely impossible. The inner city is the territory of the Alliance high levels and the Guardians. The arsenal, the ammunition depot, the energy core of the entire town, all the important facilities are inside. The control is deathly strict. Let alone you. Even those of us who have stayed in the town for over a decade, most have never been inside in their entire lives." He swallowed hard and quickly added, "To enter the inner city, you either need a pass issued by the Alliance or be in a Guardian's duty vehicle. Other than that, anyone approaching the 100-meter warning zone will be shot on sight." Wu Di nodded slowly. He had long expected that the inner city's control would be extremely strict. He just wanted to confirm it from Iron Stone. Now it seemed that entering the inner city openly was almost impossible. "All right, you don't need to worry about me from now on." Wu Di waved his hand at Iron Stone, his tone flat. "I'll handle the rest myself." Hearing this, Iron Stone breathed a huge sigh of relief. He hurriedly bowed deeply to Wu Di, his voice full of relief. "Thank you, Mr. Wu. Then I'll take my leave first." Seeing that Wu Di had no other instructions, Iron Stone quickly turned and ducked into a nearby alley. It wasn't until he turned 2 corners and completely lost sight of Wu Di that he dared to slow down, his back already soaked with cold sweat. Watching Iron Stone's figure completely disappear at the end of the alley, Wu Di led Su Wanwan into a nearby alley. The next second, the air in front of them distorted slightly, and the open door of the RV appeared in the air. As Wu Di and Su Wanwan stepped onto the vehicle, Shu Kexen immediately approached them, her face full of uncontrollable excitement. "Boss, how was it? Did you get the weapons? Is there anything good? Tell us quickly." "You, stop talking for a second." Wu Di raised his hand to interrupt her chatter and walked straight to the driver's seat, instructing the center console screen. "Xiaoxi, return to the previously abandoned building." "Received, Commander." Only then did Wu Di turn to look at Lin Shi. "Lin Shi, take out all those standard-issue weapons we seized from the players earlier, and prepare food and purified water for 2 people for half a month." "Okay." Lin Shi nodded immediately without any hesitation, turning to walk towards the entrance of the domain space. "Zixi, I'll go with you." Su Wanwan followed closely behind her. The cabin became a bit quieter. Wu Di leaned on the sofa and briefly explained what had happened at Master Yi's workshop to Shu Kexen and Lin Yu. Shu Kexen's eyes grew brighter as she listened. She suddenly slapped her thigh, leaned in front of Wu Di, and said excitedly, Boss, this Master E is so amazing. He can even modify guns to gold quality. Should we do something big and just kidnap him onto our vehicle? Hearing this, Lin Yue also became interested instantly and nodded quickly. Yeah, big brother Wudi, what Sister Shu said is right. Wudi ignored the two of them. His gaze shifted to Xiaoya, who was huddled in Lin Yue's arms. His tone softened a bit as he asked, Xiaoya, do you know this Master E? Xiaoya looked up at Wudi blankly. I don't know. I've never heard that name before. Wudi looked at the confusion in her eyes and nodded. It's okay if you don't know, you don't know. Just then, Lin Shi and Su Wanwan walked out of the domain space one after the other. The two walked to the coffee table and placed the items in their arms on the tabletop one by one. Big brother Wudi, everything is here, Lin Shi said softly. The seized weapons are all here, and the food and water are prepared as you said. I even prepared a little extra. I'm going to the kitchen to make dinner. After speaking, she turned and walked towards the vehicle's kitchen. Wudi's gaze fell on the coffee table. Various system standard issue weapons were piled high, pistols, rifles, and submachine guns. He flipped through them casually. There were 15 in total, all blue quality and green quality, all seized from other players previously. To them now, these weapons were no different from scrap metal. What Lin Shi and Su Wanwan used were purple quality QBZ-95 assault rifles strengthened by Wudi's talent. Shu Kexen had the purple quality cloud-piercing bow. Even for Lin Yu, Wudi had given her the purple quality shadow pistol he had used at the very beginning, which had an automatic bullet recovery ability. These weapons, which were useless to them, could now be exchanged for 3 solid gold quality firearms. This deal was a guaranteed profit no matter how you looked at it. More than half an hour later, the group sat around the coffee table. Lin Yue and Shu Kexen sat on either side of Xiaoya, constantly putting food into her bowl and nagging, Eat more! Look how thin you are! Xiaoya looked at the food piled like a small mountain in her bowl, her eyes turning slightly red. She lowered her head and ate in small bites, but her speed became faster and faster, as if she had been hungry for a very, very long time, eating ravenously. As she ate, Xiaoya's movement suddenly stopped. Large tears fell from her eyes without warning. Chapter 273, A Bold Idea. Eh? Xiaoya? Why are you crying? Lin Yue quickly put down her bowl and chopsticks, hurriedly pulled out a tissue, and carefully wiped the tears from her face. No. Xiaoya shook her head vigorously, wiping her tears messily with the back of her hand, her voice choking up. It's just that I've never eaten anything this delicious, and no one has ever been this good to me. Looking at her sobbing, Lin Yu reached out and gently pulled her into her arms, softly comforting her for a long time before Xiaoya's emotions finally calmed down completely. After dinner, Lin Yue and Shu Kexen took Xiaoya's hand and led her into the domain space. They both discovered that the world tree in the domain space seemed to naturally possess the power to soothe people's hearts. The carriage suddenly became quiet, leaving only Wudi, Lin Shi, and Su Wanwan. Time passed minute by minute, and at exactly 18, Su Wanwan's talent treasure chest refreshed on time. Su Wanwan raised her hand to open the treasure chest and displayed the blueprint's attributes before Wudi and Lin Shi. Electromagnetic shielding coating, purple quality, vehicle item. A full coverage conductive shielding coating for the vehicle body that creates a complete Faraday cage effect. It can resist strong electromagnetic pulse attacks and isolate external electromagnetic interference. Meanwhile, it can mask the vehicle's own electromagnetic signals, reducing the probability of being locked by radar and electromagnetic detection equipment. Crafting requirements, metal block 10, electronic component 10, quantum essence 5. Looking at the blueprint's attributes, Wudi felt they seemed somewhat familiar. He quickly opened his personal space to check. Sure enough, there was another blueprint of a similar nature from before. Anti-corrosion stealth composite coating design, purple quality, vehicle item, core focus on strengthening the vehicle body's anti-corrosion capability. It can absorb radar waves and weaken infrared signatures, significantly reducing the risk of the vehicle being locked by various detection equipment while providing basic physical protection. Crafting requirements: metal block 10, rubber 10, quantum essence 5. Immediately after, he clicked on the RV's vehicle attribute panel. Holographic phantom camouflage, gold quality, vehicle item, equipped with high-precision optical projection and contour reshaping technology. It can construct a dynamic visual camouflage layer around the vehicle to achieve perfect optical deception, allows free editing and setting of the vehicle's appearance. It only functions as optical camouflage and does not possess anti-radar, anti-infrared, or anti-electromagnetic detection capabilities. Energy consumption plus 50% after use. Usage requirement: level 2 or higher vehicle. A bold idea instantly formed in Wudi's mind. If he merged and upgraded these two coding blueprints and combined them with the holographic phantom camouflage, could he achieve all-dimensional stealth across optical, radar, infrared, and electromagnetic spectrums? If he also added the silent effects of the HX-9 ion thruster and matrix stabilization tracks, could he sneak through the exclusion zone and infiltrate the inner city undetected? "Big Brother Wudi, is this blueprint not very useful?" Su Wanwan asked softly, seeing that Wudi hadn't spoken for a long time. She knew that the RV had already been equipped with the gold-quality composite armor coating. Wudi came back to his senses and reached out to put away the blueprint, a hint of joy he couldn't hide in his eyes. He shook his head at Su Wanwan. "No, it's very useful. This blueprint might have a major use." He didn't explain further, and turned to Lin Shi. "Pack up the weapons and supplies we prepared earlier. Let's go to Master Yi's place and quickly exchange for the weapons." He knew clearly that he had already exposed the fact that outsiders possessed spatial storage capabilities in front of Ironstone. Although Ironstone hadn't said anything at the time, he remembered the unconcealable shock in Ironstone's eyes. He didn't want to expose his outsider traits again at Master Yi's place and cause unnecessary complications. "Big Brother Wudi, are we going now?" Lin Shi asked with a hint of worry in her voice. "Isn't it too rushed to deliver the items right after agreeing on the deal? Will that Master Yi suspect our identities?" Wudi shook his head. "We can't worry about that anymore. We've already exposed too much since entering the city today. Completing the deal early and getting the weapons is the safest bet. I'll pack them now." Seeing that he had made up his mind, Lin Shi didn't try to persuade him further. She said a word and immediately entered the domain space. Not long after, Wudi took the two large bundles handed over by Lin Shi and walked into the dark alleys again with Su Wanwan. With the memory of the previous route, the two were familiar with the way and arrived at the entrance of Master Yi's two-story small building again in less than 20 minutes. Just as Wudi took a step forward, the heavy metal door suddenly opened automatically from the inside. Following that, Master Yi's raspy voice came from inside the house. "Come in." Wudi stepped inside, with Su Wanwan following closely behind. The inside of the house was just as it had been in the afternoon. Master Yi was still wearing the same faded dark overalls, sleeves still rolled up to his forearms, leaning against the workbench. "Are the items ready?" Master Yi's gaze fell on their hands. "Everything is here." Wu Dai nodded and gestured to Su Wanwan. Su Wanwan immediately stepped forward, placed the two bundles on the workbench, and poured all 15 system weapons from one of them onto the workbench surface. "Master Yi, 15 in total," Wudi said. Master Yi's gaze fell on the weapons on the table, and a flash of brightness instantly crossed his originally dull eyes. He stepped forward, picked up a rifle, ran his fingers over the body, and detached the magazine to check the internal structure, his movements skilled and precise. Wudi and Su Wanwan stood to the side, not disturbing him, just watching quietly. But as the inspection went deeper, the brightness in Master Yi's eyes faded bit by bit, replaced by an increasingly deep disappointment. He checked the weapons on the table one by one, his movements getting faster and his brows furrowing tighter. Finally, he even let out a sneer and casually tossed the rifle in his hand back onto the table with a clatter. "So it's just this simple." Master Yi shook his head, his voice full of disappointment, and looked up at Wu Di and Su Wanwan. "You are also outsiders, right?" As soon as these words came out, Su Wanwan's body instantly tensed up. Wu Di, however, remained calm, meeting Master Yi's gaze without admitting or denying it. "What do you mean by that, Master?" "What do I mean?" Master Yi sneered, leaning against the workbench and crossing his arms as he looked at the two. "I guessed it from the moment you followed Iron Stone through this door this afternoon. That kid Iron Stone has been in this town for over a decade and has never dared to bring a stranger to my place, let alone two people who are completely out of place in this wasteland." Chapter 274, Masterpiece. Master Yi paused and continued, "I set that condition originally because I wanted to see if you were really outsiders. It seems I wasn't wrong. So, Master, are you planning to go back on our deal?" "Go back on it?" Master Yi raised an eyebrow. "I, Yi, have been in this Wangnan town for 20 years, and there has never been a time when I didn't keep my word. I can give you those 3 weapons we discussed this afternoon. However, this pile of simple structured, unremarkable scrap metal isn't worthy of being traded for a gun I modified personally." He looked at Wu Di, his tone becoming a bit more serious. "What I want is something truly special and valuable from the outsiders. As long as you can produce something that interests me, not only will those 3 guns from this afternoon be yours, but I also have a hidden treasure that I can give you as well." Wu Di's heart stirred slightly, and he asked, "What treasure?" Master Yi gave Wu Di and Su Wanwan a deep look, but said nothing. He turned and walked into the inner room. After a full 3 minutes, he emerged carrying a massive black metal box that was half as tall as a person, placing it heavily on the workbench with a dull thud. He popped the latch and flipped the box open. "See for yourself." Wu Di looked inside the box. A ruggedly designed anti-material rifle with sharp lines lay there quietly. Its body shimmered with a cold, hard metallic luster, and just looking at it gave off a sense of devastating pressure. He reached out to touch it, and immediately the system's attribute panel popped up in front of his eyes. Qianyuan Anti-Material Rifle, Orange Quality. A bolt-action magnetic rail-boosted anti-material rifle. 14.5 mm caliber, 3,000 meter effective range, 5-round capacity. The prototype is the Qianyuan Model Heavy Anti-Material Rifle from the Great Qian Empire's Tian Shu Army Royal Arsenal, deeply modified by Master Yi. Recoil is significantly reduced. The barrel features embedded micro-superconducting magnetic rail acceleration coils, giving bullets a muzzle velocity of Mach 6, ignores energy shields and composite armor defenses of orange quality and below. No performance degradation or failure rate in extreme environments. Requires maintenance after 5 consecutive shots. Looking at the striking orange quality label on the panel, Wu Di never expected to see an orange quality weapon in this seemingly chaotic and dilapidated outer city. Seeing the shock on Wu Di's face, a faint touch of pride curled Master Yi's lips. He patted the rifle's body, his voice full of confidence. "This is my masterpiece, a year's worth of painstaking effort to complete. Its power is enough to pierce through even a remnant council main battle mecha in one shot. In all of Wangyan Town, or even the entire scavenger plains, you won't find a second individual weapon stronger than this." Seeing that Wu Di was still staring blankly at the rifle in the box with his head down, Master Yi added, "As long as you can bring out something that satisfies me, this Qianyuan and those 3 gold-tier guns from this afternoon are all yours." Seeing this, Wu Di leaned into Su Wanwan's ear and whispered a few words quickly. After listening, Su Wanwan nodded, turned, and hurried out. Master Yi raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. He simply crossed his arms and watched Wu Di with interest, seemingly wanting to see what he could actually produce. In less than 5 minutes, Su Wanwan hurried back, holding an exquisitely designed pistol with smooth lines, and placed it gently on the workbench. This gun was the purple quality shadow pistol that Wu Di had used initially and later given to Lin Yu. "Master Yi, take a look." "Will this weapon do?" Wu Di said. The moment he heard Master Yi ask for something special and valuable, the first thing that came to mind was this shadow pistol with its built-in automatic bullet recovery ability. The core characteristic of this gun completely defied the physical rules of conventional firearms. It was also the only special piece of equipment he could offer, and most importantly, this gun was no longer of any use to them now. Master Yi's gaze fell upon the shadow pistol on the workbench. He didn't speak, but instead picked up the pistol, moved to the workbench, and took out various tools. He began to inspect and disassemble it bit by bit, his movements extremely focused, as if the rest of the world had vanished, leaving only the gun in his hands. Wu Di didn't speak, nor did he remind him of the gun's special properties. He wanted to see if this native of this world, this top-tier firearm modification master, could actually see through the unique nature of system equipment. However, the reality completely exceeded Wu Di's expectations. Master Yi's research lasted for nearly an hour. His brow was furrowed at times, and he muttered to himself at others, checking every disassembled part over and over. He kept whispering, "How is this possible? How is this achieved? It's impossible. It completely defies common sense." He was entirely immersed in the gun, as if everything in the outside world no longer concerned him. Time ticked away, and before they knew it, it was already 20 in the evening. "Master Yi!" Wu Di called out. But Master Yi acted as if he hadn't heard, still keeping his head down and muttering to the parts in his hands. Wu Di raised his volume and called again, "Master Yi, what do you think of this weapon?" Master Yi finally snapped back to reality. Without even looking up, he continued to stare at the gun in his hand and waved his hand dismissively, his tone filled with a near-frenzied excitement. "Take the 3 boxes next to me. The guns are all inside." Wu Di and Su Wanwan glanced at each other, both seeing a hint of surprise in the other's eyes. Wu Di looked over and saw 3 small boxes neatly arranged in the corner of the workbench. Su Wanwan stepped forward and picked up 2 of the small boxes, while Wu Di took the remaining small box and the large box containing the Qianyuan rifle. The 2 didn't linger. They gave a slight nod to Master Yi, who was still immersed in his research, then turned, pulled open the door, and walked out quickly, disappearing into the dim alleys. A few minutes later, the 2 returned to the RV. As soon as the door was closed, Lin Shi immediately stood up and hurried to meet them, her voice full of worry. "Big brother Wu Di, Sister Wanwan, how was it? Did the trade go smoothly? Were there any accidents?" Su Wanwan held up the 2 metal boxes in her hands, a relaxed smile appearing on her face. "Zixi, don't worry, everything went smoothly. We got them all, not only the 3 gold-tier firearms from earlier, but also an orange-quality anti-material rifle." Orange quality. Lin Shi's eyes widened, her face full of disbelief. Chapter 275, The Natives' Counterattack. Wu Di gently placed the metal box in his hand on the coffee table, then turned to the center console screen and said, "Zhao Shi, head back to that abandoned 3-story building from before." "Received, Commander. You all should go rest in the domain space." Wu Di leaned back in the driver's seat, his gaze passing through the glass to sweep across the pitch-black, deathly silent streets outside the car window. "No, Big Brother Wu Di." Lin Shi immediately shook her head, her tone firm. "You and Sister Wanwan have been out all day. You're the ones who should rest. I'll stay here and keep watch." Su Wanwan also nodded in agreement. "Big Brother Wu Di, I'll keep watch with Zixi. We can take turns resting, so nothing will go wrong." Wu Di looked at their expressions and finally nodded. "Then stay in the cabin. The situation tonight is unclear, and there's no telling what might happen." Seeing this, Lin Shi and Su Wanwan didn't insist further and nodded together. Leaning back in the driver's seat, Wu Di replayed everything that had happened today in his mind, from entering the city, scouting the outer city, meeting Master Yi, to finally obtaining the orange-quality Qianyuan anti-material rifle. He suddenly looked at Su Wanwan in the passenger seat and asked, "Do you remember what Master Yi said just now?" "Big Brother Wu Di, was it the part about this gun being able to pierce the Remnant Council's main battle mecha?" Su Wanwan blurted out instantly. She had been pondering this since they returned, but hadn't spoken up. Hearing Wu Di's question, she said it immediately. Lin Shi also leaned in. "Sister Wanwan, what mecha were you talking about? Do they have mecha too?" Su Wanwan shook her head. I don't know. That's just what Master Yi said earlier, that the Remnant Council has mecha. Wu Di continued. It seems the Remnant Council has a mecha unit, and likely in significant numbers. I'm just not sure how powerful they are. Su Wanwan's brow furrowed. Big brother Wu Di, we shouldn't be coming into conflict with this Remnant Council right now, right? We'll take it one step at a time. It's only the first day. Wu Di's tone remained calm. Seeing this, Su Wanwan and Lin Shi both nodded and said no more. Silence returned to the cabin. Wu Di reached out to open the communication channel. Messages were still scrolling frantically across the screen. In just a few hours, the number of people online in the top right corner had dropped from 82,385 in the afternoon to 79,621. Nearly 3,000 more players had perished. Damn it! These NPCs are too underhanded. They set an ambush. There were 6 of us in my squad, and I'm the only one who made it out. This world is way too freaking dangerous. There are even mecha. Damn, does anyone know what kind of faction this Remnant Council is? They're too overpowered. Lamau, what a bunch of cowards. They're just a few natives, aren't they? I've already led my team to wipe out 3 small scavenger outposts and looted 5 purple rifles. Massive profit. If you want to get rich, don't be a wuss. Mecha? What kind of mecha? In the last stage, I saw a big shot who was likely the rank 1 player, and he had a mecha too. It was over 3 meters tall. There were 1 or 2,000 of us, and not a single person dared to move. The system is trying to drive us to our deaths. On one side there are mechanical hounds, on the other are armed natives, and then there are freaking mechas that fire cannons. How are we supposed to survive these 7 days? Stop killing the natives indiscriminately. Haven't you noticed? The Scavenger Alliance is already hunting us down. Now the natives across the whole map are hunting outsider, and it's all because of you lunatics. Quit bullshitting. How could a player have a mecha? Do you even know what a mecha implies? Even if it's the rank 1 player, I don't believe he has a mecha. Purple quality items are just rifles. What quality would a mecha have to be? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Looking for a team. It's too hard alone. Why does this game have so many restrictions? Damn, it's even hard just to find someone. I found a huge town here, but I don't dare get close. The cannon muzzles on the city gate are thicker than my waist. Wu Di looked away from the screen and slowly closed his eyes. The player base had completely split. Some were blinded by immediate gains, treating the natives like NPCs to be hunted at will, looting frantically and completely escalating the conflict between the 2 sides. Others had realized something was wrong, seeing the natives' strength and wanting only to stay low and hide out for these 7 days. And yet another group had already lost their lives in the conflict with the natives. What concerned him was the Remnant Council's mecha. Likewise, if the Scavenger Alliance could hold its own against such a power, the hidden strength of the inner city was definitely far beyond his previous estimates. Previously, he had indeed underestimated this world's natives. Time passed slowly. In the silent night, the clock hand gradually pointed toward 11 p.m. Just then, Xiaoxi's voice suddenly rang out in the cabin. Commander, 12 human life signals have been detected rapidly approaching. Their direction of movement is toward the current building's location, with no deviation in their path. Current straight-line distance is 600 meters. Real-time footage has been synchronized to the center console screen. Wu Di opened his eyes and looked at the center console screen. On the screen, 12 figures were moving quickly toward them along the shadows of the street. They were all wearing armor made of some unknown material that seamlessly protected their heads, chests, abdomens, and all other vital areas, and they carried unknown rifles. Their steps were light and their movements disciplined. They were a world apart from the city guards they had seen before. Big brother Wu Di, could it be Ironstone? Su Wanwan asked in a low voice, also looking at the center console screen. Whether it's him or not doesn't matter, Wu Di shook his head. From the moment we entered the city until now, we've exposed too much. It was only a matter of time before the Alliance took notice of us. After saying that, he turned to the center console screen and asked in a low voice, Xiaoxi, can you analyze if their equipment can see through our holographic phantom camouflage? Commander, analyzing parameters of equipment carried by the targets. Less than 2 seconds after Xiaoxi's voice faded, it rang out again. Based on scanning and analysis, there is a high probability that the equipment carried by the targets lacks optical anti-camouflage, radar detection, and electromagnetic scanning capabilities, and cannot see through the current holographic phantom camouflage. However, it cannot be ruled out that the inner city possesses long-range electromagnetic detection equipment capable of detecting the vehicle's signal. Hearing this, what Wu Di thought of instead was how the natives of this world were not only well-equipped but also highly organized, especially considering the almost entirely unknown inner city and other factions. The vigilance in his heart didn't diminish at all. Instead, it grew even heavier. Looking at the 12 natives on the screen who were now less than 300 meters away, a trace of solemnity flashed in the depths of Wu Di's eyes. Chapter 276, Qianyuan Or. The atmosphere in the carriage tensed instantly. Lin Shi and Su Wanwan's gazes fell on Wu Di, waiting for his decision. "Big brother Wu Di, should we make a move?" Su Wanwan couldn't help but ask as she watched the figures drawing closer. Wu Di watched the 12 figures that continued to approach, rapidly weighing the pros and cons in his mind. Dealing with these 12 people would only take a matter of minutes, but once they acted, it would mean a complete falling out with the Scavenger Alliance. They currently knew too little about Wangnan Town and this world. How much power was hidden in the inner city, and exactly how strong the Remnant Council's Mika forces were, remained entirely unknown. Under these circumstances, entering into a full-scale confrontation with the Scavenger Alliance, which controlled the entire plane, was definitely not a wise choice. After a long moment, Wu Di slowly shook his head. "We won't make a move for now." "Big brother Wu Di?" Lin Shi was stunned for a moment, looking at him with some confusion. "We can't have a direct conflict with the natives right now." Wu Di leaned back into the driver's seat, his gaze still fixed on the screen. There was only one thought in his mind now. He had to enter the inner city. The Remnant Council's large-scale mecha forces, combined with the Scavenger Alliance's foundation to resist them, all indicated that the technological level of this world far exceeded his original estimates. And what could support such military technology had to be a stable and efficient energy system. As long as he could get his hands on this energy, Unit 01 in the domain space could potentially be activated. Even if Unit 01 still couldn't be brought out of the domain space, as long as there was sufficient energy, he could rely on Unit 01's capabilities to mass-produce Xuan Jia battle armor and build his own mechanical legion. When that time came, this world full of unknowns and dangers would no longer be an uncontrollable life-and-death struggle for him, but a resource collection point that could be exploited at will. He would no longer have to be as careful and cautious as he was now at every step. Just thinking about that scenario caused a surge of uncontrollable excitement in Wu Di's heart. "I hope the inner city doesn't disappoint me," Wu Di thought silently. Lin Shi and Su Wanwan exchanged a glance and nodded together. They said no more, but their eyes remained glued to the images on the screen. Just then, on the center console screen, those 12 elites had reached the entrance of the abandoned 3-story building. The man in the lead raised his hand in a gesture, and the 12 immediately dispersed, their movements fluid as water, without a single wasted sound. Next, several of them held their guns and slipped silently into the abandoned building. Wu Di could clearly see from the screen that their search movements were extremely professional. They didn't miss a single room or corner, their coordination seamless. However, they searched the entire 3-story building and found no sign of anyone, let alone traces of Wu Di and Su Wanwan. The leading man stopped, standing in an empty room on the 2nd floor, and pressed his hand to his ear, seemingly preparing to make contact. Xiaoxi. Sync his communication content. "Understood, Commander." Xiaoxi's voice rang out immediately. In less than 2 seconds, the man's low report echoed clearly inside the carriage. "Search of the target location is complete. No trace of outsider found. It is suspected the targets escaped in advance." A low, stern male voice immediately came through the communicator, carrying obvious anger. Impossible. Search thoroughly. Check every building within a 1-kilometer radius. Don't miss a single alley. Understood. Mission will be completed. The leading man replied immediately. After hanging up, he made a gesture to his team members, and the 12 immediately dispersed again, beginning a dragnet search of the surrounding streets and alleys. But they searched for nearly half an hour, turning the surrounding alleys and abandoned buildings upside down, yet still found nothing. Ultimately, the leading man could only curse once and lead his team back dejectedly, heading toward the center of town. Xiaoxi, follow them. Stay within the 1,000-meter radar range and don't be discovered. Understood, Commander. Target locked. The RV started up silently, trailing behind the 12-man team while maintaining a constant distance of 1,000 meters. The images on the center console screen followed them all the way until finally, those 12 men reached the metal walls of the inner city. Surprisingly, the inner city gates were not closed at night, and the guards at the entrance allowed them through without any questioning or obstruction. Watching the 12 figures completely disappear behind the inner city gates, Su Wanwan spoke in a low voice. Big Brother Wu Di, are these people from the Scavenger Alliance's guardians? It's hard to say for sure right now. Wu Di shook his head, his gaze fixed on the open inner city gate on the screen. Get some rest. Silence returned to the carriage. Time passed bit by bit, and as midnight approached, Lin Yue stepped lightly out of the domain space. Xiao Yu, how is Xiaoya? Lin Qi asked softly. Sister Xiaoya is already asleep. Lin Yue smiled, then quickly walked over to Wu Di. Like showing off a treasure, she took a palm-sized dark gold stone out of her personal space and held it out to him. Big Brother Wu Di, look at this. Wu Di took the stone. It felt heavy in his hand, and to the naked eye, it looked as if light were slowly flowing within it. He immediately opened the system panel, and the stone's attributes popped up instantly. Qianyuan ore, a natural ore containing stable high-energy energy. After purification and refinement, it can be used as an energy source. Wu Di's eyes lit up instantly, and he suddenly looked up at Lin Ye. Where did you get this? I traded for it on the trading channel. Lin Yu smiled with an air of pride. I saw you were always worrying about energy, so I kept scrolling through the trading channel. I happened to see someone trading this ore for fuel, so I used 100 units of fuel to get this piece. I figured you'd definitely be interested. Did you ask them where they obtained this ore? Wu Di followed up immediately, his heart unable to stop racing. The energy he had been searching for so long had actually appeared in his hands this way. I asked. He said he didn't know exactly where, he just picked it up in an abandoned factory on the wasteland. There was only this one piece. Lin Yu stuck out her tongue and spoke with a bit of embarrassment. Wu Di nodded, not feeling disappointed at all. Even if there was only this one piece of ore, it was enough to prove his previous guess was correct. The natives must possess a large amount of Qianyuan ore, as well as mature purification and refinement technology. Thinking of this, Wu Di's gaze toward the inner city became increasingly fervent. He lacked nothing now. Weapons, armor, vehicles, firepower, everything was at the top level of current players. The only thing missing was energy. Chapter 2277, Full Protection Composite Coating. As long as he obtained a stable source of energy, the situation in this world would become completely different. Wu Di put the Qianyuan ore into his personal space and leaned back in the driver's seat, quietly waiting for midnight to arrive. Time passed second by second until it reached 23:59. Wu Di looked up at Lin Yue in the passenger seat. Just as he was about to speak, Lin Yu's eyes immediately lit up, and she beat him to it, saying, Big Brother Wu Di, do you want me to apply talent amplification for you? Looking at her clever expression, Wu Di couldn't help but smile and nod. Okay, Big Brother Wu Di. After speaking, Lin Yu checked the trading channel while occasionally stealing glances at Wu Di, her eyes full of curiosity. Wu Di's gaze fell upon 2 purple quality coating blueprints in his personal space. According to his usual habit, he would definitely rely on talent amplification to strengthen the blueprints first before crafting them. But time was tight now. They had already been exposed, and the conflict between players and the natives would surely intensify. Tonight was likely the best opportunity to enter the inner city. Thinking of this, without the slightest hesitation, Wu Di willed it and directly initiated the blueprint crafting. Ding! Electromagnetic shielding coating crafting complete. Ding! Anti-corrosion stealth composite coating crafting complete. Immediately after, without any pause, Wu Di directly activated his Omni-Furnace talent. Ding! Do you choose the electromagnetic shielding coating as the primary sacrifice and the anti-corrosion stealth composite coating as the secondary sacrifice? Ding! Talent used successfully. Item promoted to Tier 3. Obtained DXF Full Protection Composite Coating, Red Quality. Looking at the striking red quality label on the system panel, a hint of irrepressible joy flashed in Wu Di's eyes. Just now, he was thinking that after the talent's promotion, the once-per-day usage limit couldn't keep up with his current rate of acquiring materials. But seeing that he could now produce one piece of red-quality equipment basically every day, Wu Di suddenly felt relieved. It was lucky that his talent had promoted. Otherwise, facing the current situation, he really wouldn't have had a good way to quietly sneak into the inner city without exposing himself. He then carefully examined the item's attributes. DXF Full Protection Composite Coating, Red Quality, Vehicle-Mounted Item, a full coverage integrated composite functional coating for the vehicle body. The bottom nanoconductive layer forms a complete closed-loop Faraday cage effect, capable of resisting strong electromagnetic pulse attacks and full-spectrum electromagnetic interference. The middle broadband, wave-absorbing composite layer can absorb radar waves and weaken the vehicle's infrared thermal signature. The surface wear-resistant anti-corrosion layer possesses extremely strong anti-corrosion and impact resistance capabilities. Installation requirement, Level 2 or higher vehicle. Looking at the attributes on the panel, Wu Di felt that this red-quality item wasn't as perfect as he had imagined. Compared to the red-quality equipment he had obtained before, it was quite a bit inferior. But in the next second, only one thought remained in Wu Di's mind. Inner city, here I come. Without any hesitation, he directly chose to install it. Xiao Shi, conduct a comprehensive scan of the newly installed coating. Analyze whether our current camouflage capabilities can allow us to enter the inner city without being detected. Received, Commander. Scan complete. Based on the parameters of the outer city detection equipment currently on record, the existing camouflage system can avoid detection by any conventional equipment. Parameters for inner city detection equipment are insufficient for a precise analysis. Xiao Shi paused for less than a second after saying this before continuing. Commander, upon entering radar detection range, Xiao Shi can consume energy to completely take over all electronic detection equipment within the inner city's radar range, achieving absolute invisibility. Hearing Xiao Shi's words, Wu Di smiled helplessly. He naturally knew that as an eternal-grade apocalypse matrix, Xiao Shi's functions included this capability. But right now, he lacked nothing except energy. The RV's daily travel required energy. Xiao Shi's various high-end operations required energy. Starting Unit 01 in the domain space required energy, and even every shot from the Heaven's Punishment electromagnetic railgun, which only had 3 rounds left, consumed energy. Energy had become the greatest shackle binding him. Wu Di's gaze once again turned to the center console screen, toward the inner city gate that remained open in the night. Xiao Shi. If we encounter an emergency after entering the inner city, how much energy would it take to ensure we aren't discovered? Commander, parameters for inner city equipment are missing. A precise energy consumption estimate cannot be made. Hearing Xiao Shi's reply, Wu Di immediately fell into a dilemma. On one hand, it was midnight. No matter how strict the inner city security was, it would surely be more relaxed than during the day. More importantly, that the natives would never expect outsider to sneak into the inner city at this hour. Now was definitely the best time to infiltrate. If they missed this chance, they might not get another one as good. On the other hand, He knew nothing about the situation inside the inner city. What lay within, and the true strength of the natives were unknowns. If the infiltration failed, they would be completely trapped in the inner city, facing a suppression campaign by the entire Scavenger Alliance, with no way out. Big Brother Woody, no matter what decision you make, we will support you. Just then, Su Wanwan, who had been drawn in by the conversation between Woody and Xiao Shi, spoke softly. She looked at Woody, her eyes filled with trust. Lin Shi also nodded, her tone firm. That's right, Big Brother Woody, you can do whatever you want. Seeing the determined expressions in the two girls' eyes, the dilemma in Woody's heart instantly vanished. Since entering this survival world, he had never been one to sit and wait for death. Risk and opportunity always coexisted. To obtain the energy needed to break the deadlock, he had to take this risk. He took a deep breath and gave a low command to the center console screen. Xiao Shi, target, inner city. Set out. Received, Commander. The RV started up silently, like a ghost blending into the night, slowly driving toward the inner city. The cabin was silent. Wu Di, Lin Shi, and Su Wanwan all stared intently through the front windshield, their eyes fixed on the approaching inner city gate, their breathing subconsciously becoming light. The guards at the gate didn't notice at all that a massive object was slowly passing by not far from them, quietly moving through the gates and into the inner city. The entire process was smoother than Wu Di had anticipated. Not until the RV had completely entered the inner city and the gate behind them disappeared from view did the three people in the cabin breathe a collective sigh of relief, their racing hearts finally settling down. Chapter 278, Locking the Target. Wu Di finally looked up at the image on the center console screen. Completely different from the dilapidated scene of the outer city. The streets of the inner city were almost harshly clean, the smooth, hardened roads spotless, and lined with orderly stone buildings on both sides. Even in the deep darkness of the night, where he could only see the surroundings through the center console screen, Wu Di could clearly feel the order and stability here. Xiao Shi, proceed at low speed and scan the overall layout of the inner city. Don't miss a single detail, Wu Di immediately ordered. Originally, he was worried about whether the Scavenger Alliance would have high-grade energy here, since the vehicles used by Iron Stone and the others only used ordinary fuel. But after Lin Yu brought him the Qianyuan ore just now, only one thought remained in his mind: hurry up and finish exploring the inner city. If there was none here, he would have to check out that remnant council, though he knew nothing about its situation. Understood, Commander. As the RV continued forward, the 3D model of the inner city on the center console screen was sketched out and refined bit by bit. The three of them also gradually saw the full view of the inner city. Occasionally, they encountered patrol squads along the way, carrying the same standard-issue rifles as the 12 armed personnel who had searched for them earlier. After a full hour, the RV had made a complete loop around the inner city. The 3D model on the center console screen finally froze, turning into a complete panoramic layout map of the inner city. Commander, the 3D layout map of the inner city has been completed and synchronized to the center console screen. Xiao Shi's notification sounded immediately. Wu Di, Lin Shi, Su Wanwan, and Lin Yui immediately gathered in front of the screen, their gazes falling together on the complete layout map. The entire inner city was a regular square, with a total area of nearly 16 square kilometers, centered around a building in the very middle. Near the eastern side was a large planting area, occupying nearly a quarter of the inner city's area. The western side was a regular residential area, guarded by walls and sentries. The southern side was the most extensive region, appearing to be a factory area with heavily guarded entrances and exits. And the northern side was the most heavily fortified area of the entire inner city, with a Guardian's patrol density more than 3 times that of other areas. Commander, the total area of the inner city is 15.7 square kilometers. Based on the scan, the current population is 32,581, of which over 70% are young adult males. A total of 47 fixed heavy fire points and over 20,000 hidden surveillance points have been detected throughout the inner city. My God, there are actually so many people in the inner city. Lin Shi couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice. Su Wanwan, who was standing nearby, said, Big Brother Wu Di, we didn't see many young men in the outer city today. Could they all be in this inner city? Sister Xiaoya said before that Wangyun town has a large population. Normally the outer city isn't empty like it was today, Lin Yui added softly. Wu Di's gaze remained on the layout map on the center console screen as he recalled what Ironstone had said earlier. Most of the people from the outer city had already set out during the day. Although he had guessed that the natives would react quickly to outsider, he hadn't expected them to take it so seriously. But these thoughts only flashed by, and Wu Di quickly pulled his mind back. None of that mattered. He had no time to worry about how far the conflict between players and the natives would escalate. His only goal now was to find enough energy to break through the current predicament. Xiaoxi, start deep analysis and scan everything related to energy. Commander, starting deep analysis is estimated to consume 10% of the onboard energy reserves. Are you sure? Confirmed. A 10% energy consumption was definitely not a small amount for their already stretched energy reserves. However, Wu Di responded without the slightest hesitation. Understood, Commander. Limited by the radar's detection range, Xiaoxi will conduct continuous scanning. Following Xiaoxi's reply, the interior of the vehicle instantly became quiet. Under Xiaoxi's control, the RV began to move slowly around the inner city. In less than 10 minutes, Xiaoxi's voice rang out again. Commander, scanning complete. The core target has been locked. The energy signal matches the energy signature of Qianyuan ore by 100%, and the probability of high-purity energy reserves existing exceeds 99%. The image has been synchronized to the center console screen. Wu Di and the others all looked at the center console screen, which showed an unremarkable single-story factory building. It looked no different from any other place, with only 2 guards at the door and very few patrol squads passing by. The security level seemed extremely low. But when they saw the 3D perspective view of the interior, all 4 people in the cabin showed surprised expressions. The ground-level building of the storage was just a layer of camouflage. The interior was empty and simple, with nothing but guards patrolling back and forth. What truly surprised them was the underground portion of the storage. The center console screen clearly showed that there were 2 full levels of sealed space underground, along with a dense crowd of guards in that underground space. My God, it looks so ordinary on the outside, but so many guards are hidden inside. Lin Yu covered her mouth and whispered in surprise. Big Brother Wu Di, what do we do now? The Scavenger Alliance has hidden this place too deeply. Lin Shi's brow furrowed slightly. But the more it's like this, the more it proves that something important is definitely hidden inside. Su Wanwan looked at Wu Di. Big Brother Wu Di, what should we do? The security here is too tight. How are we going to get in? Wu Di didn't speak, his gaze still fixed on the layout map on the center console screen. Then, Xiaoxi's voice rang out again. Commander, the storage room on the second basement level has been locked. The image on the screen instantly switched, focusing on a room on the second basement level. In this huge room, dozens of rows of shelves stood neatly. On the shelves, rows of black sealed metal boxes were stacked tightly from the floor to the ceiling. The quantity was extremely impressive, stretching as far as the eye could see. Could these boxes be the energy reserves of the Scavenger Alliance? Lin Shi looked at the dense metal boxes on the screen and couldn't help but speak in a low voice, her tone full of shock. Big Brother Wu Di, if these boxes are all full of energy, then will we never have to worry about energy again? Lin Yu's tone was full of excitement. Wu Di's breathing also couldn't help but quicken slightly. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and ordered the center console screen. Xiaoxi, see what's actually inside. Understood, Commander. The internal image has been synchronized to the center console screen. The image on the screen switched instantly, and the outer shells of the black metal boxes seemed to become completely transparent, clearly revealing the contents to the 4 of them. Chapter 279. Storming. On the screen, the outer shell of the black metal box had completely shed its concealment, clearly revealing the scene inside to the four of them. Completely different from the irregular natural Qianyuan or Lin Yue had traded for, the box contained regular cylindrical crystals. Each one was only about 2 fingers thick and no more than 10 centimeters long, with a dark golden luster across its entire body. Even through the screen, one could seemingly feel that pure energy aura. Each box was neatly stacked with 10 such crystals. Big Brother Wu Dai, could these all be energy? Lin Yu's eyes widened, her small hand covering her mouth, her voice filled with unbelievable shock. In this entire storage, how many must there be? Vice Commander, according to scan statistics, there are a total of 30,101 pieces stored in the second basement storage room. Xiaoxi's voice immediately rang out in the cabin, providing a precise number. As soon as this number came out, the cabin instantly fell into a dead silence. Over 30,000 pieces. My God, over 30,000? Lin Shi also said in surprise. Su Wanwan also nodded, her gaze falling on the dense rows of metal boxes on the screen, her tone carrying an irrepressible excitement. Big Brother Wu Di, I wonder how effective these things are. If they work, will we no longer have to worry about energy issues? Wu Di's breathing also accelerated slightly, his fingertips clenching tightly. Of course, he knew what these things meant. If all of these were energy, it meant Xiaoxi could activate most functions without any hesitation, and it meant Unit 01 in the domain space could be fully started to mass-produce Xuan Jia battle armor. But after the excitement, he quickly calmed down, his brow furrowing deeply. The problem was, how to take all these Qianyuan crystals away. Even if the RV had perfect stealth, it couldn't drive into the storage, let alone deep into the second basement storage room. The storage's security system was airtight. Sneaking in quietly and moving over 30,000 Qianyuan crystals was almost impossible. At the slightest disturbance, if the inner city guards were alerted, they would be completely trapped in the inner city, facing a tide of elite troops with no way out. Big Brother Wu Di, what should we do? Su Wanwan was the first to regain her composure, looking at Wu Di and asking in a low voice. The guards here are too strict. It's too difficult to move the items without alerting anyone. How about we wait until dawn to look for an opportunity? Lin Yu suggested softly. Or should we go back first and think of a foolproof infiltration plan? Lin Shi didn't say a word, just quietly watching Wu Di. Wu Di leaned back in the driver's seat, his brain working rapidly, playing out all feasible plans in his mind over and over. Storming in, he had absolute confidence that he could deal with all the guards in the storage within a few minutes. But the problem was, what to do after taking this place? As soon as the alarm here sounded, the inner city would surely react quickly. The Guardians would definitely arrive immediately. But he still couldn't be sure how strong the high-end combat power of this world was, or what trump cards were still hidden in the Scavenger Alliance's inner city. Once entangled, they would fall into a dangerous situation. Even if they got these things, they might not be able to break out of the inner city intact. But looking at the over 30,000 Qianyuan crystals on the screen, at that close-at-hand opportunity to break the deadlock, there was no retreat in Wu Dai's eyes. He had waited for this day for far too long. Since entering this survival world, energy had always been the greatest shackle binding him. Now that the key was right before his eyes, he couldn't just give up. After a while, Wu Di suddenly opened his eyes, a flash of decisive ruthlessness in them, his tone resolute. We strike now. Big Brother Wu Di? The three of them were stunned for a moment, looking at him. Lin Shi, Wanwan, and Xiao Yu, the three of you stay in the RV and be ready to start the vehicle and evacuate at any time. Once I've dealt with all the guards and Xiaoxi gives you the signal, get out of the car immediately and collect the boxes as fast as possible. Wu Di spoke very quickly, laying out the tasks clearly and without any hesitation. Big Brother Wu Di, how about I go with you? Su Wanwan spoke immediately, her voice full of worry. Don't worry. Wu Di shook his head slightly at her. Dealing with them is very simple. Your task is to put as many boxes as possible into your personal space in the shortest time. That is the most critical thing. Seeing the unquestionable certainty in Wu Di's eyes, although they were still worried, the three of them nodded in unison. They all knew that Wu Di never fought unprepared battles. Since he dared to say so, he must have absolute confidence. Wu Di took a deep breath, pushed open the car door, and silently slipped into the shadows of the perimeter wall. Wu Di leaned against the cold wall, his gaze sweeping over the two guards at the storage entrance. With a thought, the Titan's Wrath armor instantly covered his body. The next second, he instantly transformed into a 3-meter-tall mechanical giant. His figure surged forward like a phantom, even leaving a faint afterimage in place. The two guards at the storage entrance didn't even have time to react before he was instantly upon them. His knife-hand strikes precisely hit their necks, and they slumped softly to the ground, without even letting out a muffled groan. The whole process took less than 0.5 seconds. Without the slightest pause, Wu Di flashed and rushed through the main gate. The piercing sound of the alarm instantly rang out. The three in the cabin only saw the images on the screen flickering rapidly. They couldn't even clearly see Wu Di's movements. They could only see guards falling one after another, unable to even fire a single shot. From the moment Wu Di rushed into the storage until he dealt with all the guards on the ground and underground, the time was frozen exactly at 58 seconds. In less than a minute, the entire storage's security system was completely torn to shreds. Ladies, all threats within the storage have been cleared. The commander has opened the underground entrance passage. Please get out of the car and collect them immediately. The faster the better. Xiaoxi's voice immediately rang out in the cabin, breaking the trio's shock. Lin Shi and the other two instantly regained their senses, exchanged glances, and without any hesitation, immediately pushed open the car doors and rushed out at full speed. Ignoring the weapons scattered on the ground and the fallen guards, they rushed straight into the storage. Following the opened underground entrance, they flew down to the first basement level. Looking at the dense rows of black metal boxes on the shelves, they didn't pause for a moment, immediately reaching out to quickly store the boxes into their personal space. "Great! These boxes can be stacked for storage! The personal space can fit them!" Xiaoyu shouted excitedly while quickly collecting the boxes, her movements so fast that afterimages appeared. Lin Shi and Su Wanwan weren't idle either. The two of them began collecting from both sides. The three of them formed a triangular formation, sweeping up the Qianyuan crystal boxes in the storage at the highest speed. Meanwhile, under Xiaoxi's guidance, Wu Di had already rushed into the deepest part of the second basement. At the innermost part of the storage room, there was a closed secret chamber. Chapter 280, Qianyuan Crystals. Wu Di didn't waste any breath. He raised his hand and threw a punch. The thick metal wall buckled and deformed instantly like it was made of paper. He kicked open the secret chamber's door and walked inside. This secret chamber wasn't large. Inside, 11 specially made black metal boxes were arranged neatly, each a size larger than the boxes outside. Wu Di didn't have time to check their contents. Xiaoxi's urgent prompts were already ringing in his ears. With a thought, he directly stowed all 11 boxes into his personal space, then turned and sprinted out of the secret chamber, heading toward the first basement level. "Commander, a large number of armed personnel are rapidly converging on the storage area. The nearest squad is less than 800 meters away in a straight line, and is expected to arrive on site within 1 minute. Xiaoxi's voice transmitted clearly into Wu Di's ears. When Wu Di returned to the first basement level, he happened to see Lin Yu waving at him excitedly. "Big brother Wu Di, these boxes can be stacked for storage. We've already collected more than half. Just a little longer, and we can take them all." Nearly 70% of the metal boxes on the shelves were gone, with only a small portion remaining. Lin Shi and Su Wanwan were still rapidly collecting them without a moment's pause. "Commander, the nearest Guardians is less than 500 meters away and is carrying heavy weaponry. Immediate evacuation is advised." Xiaoxi's warning sounded again. Wu Di glanced at the remaining boxes on the shelves and without any hesitation shouted loudly, "Forget the rest. Stop immediately and get back to the vehicle." The three women, including Lin Shi, froze for a split second. Without any hesitation or reluctance, they immediately ceased their actions, turned, and sprinted at full speed toward the entrance. They were all well aware that every second of delay increased the risk of being surrounded. In less than 30 seconds, everyone had rushed into the RV, which was already started and on standby. The door slammed shut behind them. As soon as Wu Di sat down, he immediately gave a low-voiced command, "Xiaoxi, evacuate immediately. While ensuring safety, avoid everyone and rush out of the inner city at maximum speed." "Understood, Commander, departing at full speed." The RV slowly pulled away from the scene. Inside the cabin, everyone stared fixedly at the streets outside. The RV didn't evacuate via the inner city's main roads. Xiaoxi was clearly maneuvering the RV through various small alleys, and they didn't see a single person along the way. However, on the center console screen, they could clearly see people from all directions constantly heading toward the place they had just left. Under Xiaoxi's operation, the RV drove out of the inner city in less than 3 minutes. It wasn't until the walls of the inner city completely vanished into the night behind them that the tense atmosphere in the cabin suddenly relaxed. Lin Yu let out a long sigh of relief and slumped onto the sofa, her small hand patting her chest. "My God, that was too thrilling! I thought we were going to be surrounded." "We finally made it out safely." Lin Shi also breathed a sigh of relief. While she was collecting the boxes at full speed, her nerves had been stretched to the limit. Wu Di returned to the driver's seat. Just as he was about to say something, Xiaoxi's voice rang out again. "Commander, we have left the inner city's alert perimeter and are heading toward the outer city gates. We are about to enter radar detection range." Wu Di nodded, and the heart he had just let down tightened again. The inner city was only the first hurdle. To completely escape Wangnian town, they still had to break through the gates of the outer city. Less than 3 minutes later, Xiaoxi's voice spoke once more. "Commander, the outer city gates are closed. No passable gaps have been detected." Hearing this, the group who had just relaxed instantly tensed up again, all eyes turning toward Wu Di. Wu Di's gaze fell on the real-time footage on the center console screen. The thick metal gate of the outer city, over 10 meters high, was currently tightly sealed. Atop the wall, a guard stood every 10 meters, and the entire wall area was brightly lit. Wu Di took a deep breath and quickly calmed down, instructing the center console screen. "Xiaoxi, find a place to stop near the gates, as long as it's within radar detection range." "Understood, Commander. Target location locked. Proceeding now." The RV slowly turned and silently drove into the shadows of an abandoned factory near the gates. It came to a complete stop, and the holographic phantom camouflage perfectly blended the vehicle into the surrounding environment. After confirming they were temporarily safe, Wu Di used his mind to take out all 11 specially made black metal boxes he had collected from the secret chamber, arranging them neatly on the cabin's coffee table. Lin Shi and the other two immediately gathered around, their eyes falling on the boxes, filled with curiosity. "Big Brother Wu Di, what's inside these boxes? They look much more advanced than the ones outside," Lin Yu couldn't help but ask in a low voice, then pulled Lin Shi's hand and said, Sister, do you think there's even higher-level stuff inside? That's how it always goes in movies." Su Wanwan chuckled softly. "Xiao Yu, it's possible." Wu Di didn't speak. He reached out and gripped the latch of the first box. Giving it a gentle snap, the latch popped open. He lifted the lid, and in the center, 10 translucent dark gold crystals were firmly embedded. They were a size thicker than the Qianyuan crystals outside, and their surfaces shimmered with a liquid-like golden light. Even just sitting there, one could feel a vast and pure energy aura washing over them. Wu Di reached out and picked up one of the crystals, and the system interface immediately popped up a complete attribute panel. Qianyuan crystal, gold quality, Great Qian Empire standard high-energy core, refined and purified from natural Qianyuan ore. Energy output is stable with no degradation. Can replace fuel to power vehicles. Looking at the striking gold quality label on the panel, a flash of shock crossed Wu Di's eyes. If these were all gold quality, then in his hands, they were equivalent to at least red quality, or even eternal quality. It really is energy, and its gold quality. Big brother Wudi, have we struck it rich? Lin Yu also picked up a crystal, her face full of pleasant surprise. Lin Shi looked at the crystal in her hand, her voice filled with shock. Is this scavenger alliance really this wealthy? Su Wanwan, however, said worriedly, Big brother Wudi, now that the scavenger alliance has lost these things, what will we do next? Sister Wanwan, don't worry. Once the gates open in the morning, we'll be gone. They definitely won't find us, Lin Yu said with a proud look. Lin Shi took Su Wanwan's hand and said softly, Sister Wanwan, with Xiao Shi here, as long as they can't discover us, we'll be fine even if we stay here.